Chapter 501. The fourth generation of Raikage ended, the third more. Die. When he saw that Gongyi Jindun had condensed his long sword, the fourth generation Raikage immediately. Big drink. The speed of the whole person has skyrocketed again, and the power of the four-handedly stabbed from hell has also risen to the ultimate. He knew that although the two had not played against each other a few times, the time for a decisive battle had come. Dead or alive, now it's all condensed into this blow. Of course, this is just the self-indulgent idea of the fourth generation of Raikage, and Gongyi doesn't care at all. He thinks about as the next two-tailed Jinchuiki column force. The level of the fourth generation Raikage, Gongyi doesn't care at all. The position of the last 100 meters is dazzling, and the fourth generation of Raikage has arrived. Senses, Gongyi's indifferent eyes revealed a killing intent. Sword, slash. As Gongyi's words fell, this small voice spread to everyone's ears. Everyone didn't have time to show any expressions. Gongyi's had the floating golden long sword on the top said what he said. With a buzzing sound, the shocking power was released. Everything seemed to be shrouded in Gongyi's power. Especially the current Kumogakure village ninjas, they are all terrified, their legs are even weak. At this moment, Gongyi seems to be able to dominate everyone's life and death, which makes people feel terrified. Which was still just now, has already bloomed, and a golden brilliance has broken through and dispelled the dark clouds above the sky. At this time, the dark surroundings have been reflected in golden yellow, and it is like a rising sun. It's almost impossible to even open your eyes. The entire 10,000 li, everyone can only feel a terrifying power that opens up the world and is coming. And it is the fourth generation Raikage who has already arrived in front of Gongyi who is going to take this blow. At this moment, he narrowed his eyes and sank to the bottom of the valley. Because when the golden light, like a little sun, was getting closer and closer to him, Raikage of the fourth generation found that he couldn't resist Gongyi's blow at all. Swish, the golden long sword just waved lightly, and this fierce and roaring sound of breaking through the air was the last sound everyone heard. Immediately afterwards, everything around was quiet. The sound of thunder and lightning had completely disappeared. Everyone can only barely see that the fourth generation of Raikage has been engulfed by the golden brilliance. No! An unwilling cry appeared, only Gongyi could clearly hear and see it. The fourth generation Raikage showed panic, and the whole person maintained an attacking posture and was completely slashed in half by the golden giant sword. And when the huge pressure fell, he became a pool of blood and flesh, and died instantly. The strongest man who controlled the Kumogakure village, this cage-level ninja who has not known how long, death ended. Wind, blowing gently. In the season that is about to enter the winter, people not only feel a bit biting. And on this battlefield today, every ninja felt the chill even more. Soon, when the golden light around them gradually disappeared, they could already see the scene in front of them. Next second, before they could speak again, a loud bang came out. Rumbling, the whole plane began to vibrate violently. It seems that even it has just reacted. The whole piece of the fourth generation Raikage, the location begins to split into two halves. Hundreds of meters, thousands of meters, tens of thousands of meters, spread all the way. Birds looked down, the whole plain of Nuoda was split apart. Everything on it was not spared, and it was scattered in the wind like the fourth generation of Raikage. Just a blow from Gongyi, an abyss-like gap appeared in front of everyone's eyes. That's right. This landform, belonging to the land of Tien, has been transformed by Gongyi's golden escape. Wow, it seems to be influenced by Gongyi. Above the gloomy dark clouds, light rain has already started to fall. When the raindrops fell on everyone, the silent ones also began to come back to their senses. Raikage-sama is actually dead. How can it be so simple? The ninjas of Kumogakure village have begun to show fear on their faces. And those high-level people showed indescribable anger. Not just on their side. The current Konoha village ninjas, they don't seem to be excited. Instead, all are terrified of Gong Yi's power. Because when they saw this terrifying power, they even forgot all the thoughts they should have. Hyuga Hiyashi, Kakashi and others opened their mouths, but didn't know how to describe them. The fourth generation of Raikage, this cage-level powerhouse who just suppressed them miserably, was instantly killed by Gong Yi in a single face-to-face. Everything was exactly as Gong Yi said at the meeting. No matter how strong their Kumogakure village was, they all collapsed under Gong Yi's mighty power. The power of a sword instantly killed Raikage. Sword has changed the natural terrain. A sword broke the fear. And at this moment, when all the ninjas of Kumogakure village unconsciously retreated. Two-tailed people Jinchuriki column force, Niyugito's face showed a touch of madness. With the death of Killer Bee Jinchuriki column force, the fourth generation of Raikage has always placed hope on her. Over the years, she has taken care of her. But just now, this Raikage, who had been taking care of herself, was actually killed, which made her extremely angry. 5 generations of Hokage. Niyugito immediately dodged, her eyes fixed on Gong Yi standing in the air. How dare you kill my Kumogakure village Raikage? Hehe, your Kumogakure village has been trying to start a war all the time. Seeing that Niyugito had taken the bait, Gong Yi's face showed a sneer. Now my Konoha village has responded to your request, and all this is your own death. Also, the reason why the fourth generation Raikage died is that he was too weak. Gong Yi showed no mercy at all, mocking, as if he was just trying to stimulate Niyugito. He continued to laugh. Don't worry, what happens to him next is yours. Kaden, Fire Style, Fire Rat Jade. As soon as Gong Yi finished speaking, Niyugito's attack was what she waited for. She no longer wanted to speak, but was completely irritated by Gong Yi's words. The current situation in Kumogakure village is needless to say. They can only fight back against the odds. Chakra, who belongs to the second two-tailed brigade, is furiously venting, and she sees her mouth bulging and spitting forward. Countless rat-shaped flames, like fire bullets, rushed towards Gong Yi. Chapter 502. The Tailed Beast is a Joke. The Secret Art of Rat Tail Ball Jade. When Niyugito just released a ninjutsu, she didn't seem to stop at all. After knowing Gong Yi's strength, although she was angry, she didn't get carried away. Since the fourth generation of Raikage, even he was so powerful, he was easily wiped out by Gong Yi. Then he naturally has no advantage at all. The only difference from the fourth generation Raikage is that he has the help of Two and Two Tails. After such a long period of hard practice, she naturally could have perfected the power of Master and Two Tails. This is also the capital of Niyugito, who dares to fight with Gong Yi. Of course, she couldn't escape now. Even if he didn't shoot, Gong Yi would have tried his best to make her attack him. Even if it doesn't work in the end, Gong Yi will also choose a certain reason to take the initiative to trouble her. Of course, Niyugito naturally doesn't know about these things. At this moment, after she released 10 huge chakra fireballs again, the 10 fingers on her hand had already connected with the chakra lines. Accompanied by the fiery bullets in front, Niyugito gently provoked it with his hands, and these 10 huge fireballs surrounded Gong Yi. It's just such an attack, and normal people can't avoid it at all. Strong Jonin is, he can only bite Kiba and be killed unwillingly. Gong Yi, who is now within the attack range, is not afraid at all. Like he had just dealt with the fourth generation of Raikage, he was very calm. It seems that everyone feels that there is nothing at all that can make Gong Yi's mood fluctuate, or, in other words, is there no attack that can threaten him now. With chakra strengthening with 2 tails and a brigade, this pieces of blue flames are eerie and terrifying. Gong Yi showed a smile on his face in the middle, and he waved one hand. The small glazed sky canopy immediately appeared, and immediately looked around Gong Yi. The flame attack in the front is very strong, yes, but when it hits the top of the glazed sky, it seems to be in a swamp. As soon as they touch it, they immediately started to crumble and couldn't stay on top of it at all. The loud banging sound continued to appear, and the 10 huge flame balls around them also did not have the slightest effect. The small glazed canopy seemed to have only a thin layer, but Niyugido's attack could not shake it in the slightest. A short while, they disappeared into the air without any effect at all. Damn it! Seeing that his compound attack was so easily defended, Niyugido hand seal again. Now that she has ignored it, after she can control the second and second tails perfectly, her chakra is naturally massive. However, before Niyugido's next attack could be released, Gongyi had already slapped with hand seal with both hands. Sweetened water style, water dragon bites. Sweetened water style chakra condenses frantically, and at the foot of Niyugido, a sharp Uzumaki-type water Jinchuriki column begins to erupt. Hula, Niyugido flew straight into the sky, and immediately the water Uzumaki began to spread and grow, trapping Niyugido in the center. Roar! This side, no wait. Niyugido responded to the attack on the defense, and on the other side, the water that rose to the highest level has condensed into a water dragon. Its pair of eyes of the orangutan Yuhi stared at Niyugido, and when a roar came out, it had already swung its tail towards her and devoured it. Half-tailed beast. No more waiting, Niyugido immediately into the strongest state. Opponent was Gongyi, so naturally she didn't dare to hide. Now that Gongyi has taken action, she is afraid that she will be killed by Gongyi if she is not careful, so she is really very unwilling. Hula. The chakra that belongs to Niyugido in the body automatically overflows out of the body, forming a Yuhi-colored tail beast coat that wraps Niyugido. The chakra, which was powerful and massive just now, has been strengthened a lot at this moment. When this form has been condensed, Niyugido has completely abandoned the human appearance. At the moment, the tailed beast chakra is covering her whole body, and there are 2 swaying tails behind her. With a bang, one of the dark Yuhi-colored tails stretched out and smashed the sweetened, water-style dragon just now. The other one is immediately sweep forward to completely disintegrate the surrounding sweetened, water-style Uzumaki. It's time to start. When sweetened, water-style Uzumaki was swept to pieces, the half-tailed beast Niyugido appeared in front of Gongyi. The familiar power of the tailed beast made him a little excited. 2 tails that I have needed for a long time, and now I finally see it. Sir Niyugido, she released the tail beast. Quick, get out of here. At this time, after seeing Niyugido's state, the Kumogakure village ninja retreated faster. 4. The tailed beast, they are still very afraid. Leave the battlefield. Here in Konoha village, Hyuga Hiyashi also waved his hand, immediately. Drink. Now the tailed beast may have nothing to do with Gongyi, but it is different for people. Its lethality is very huge, and this tailed beast like a nuclear weapon in the ninja continent makes every ninja fear very much. Of this tailed beast is enough to make countless people tremble. Tens of thousands of people across the plain, they have not recovered from Gongyi's previous shock. Now this short period of time, I have been moved by the appearance of the second and second tails, immediately. Start going back. Wasn't long, and the group of people who had just gathered on the plain had already begun to leave here. You can see, only Niyugido and Gongyi are left in the center. Watching nervously, the seniors here in Kumogakure village are already darkened to ultimate. The death of 4 generations of Raikage made them pin all their hopes on Niyugido. She is the last hope. If Gongyi is defeated again, then there will be no future for Kumogakure village. Was even said that he would face the same fate as Sunagakure village. Roar. There was a roar in the field, and Niyugido in the tailed beast state rushed towards Gongyi. I saw my legs staring, the whole earth shattered with a bang, and countless cracks spread for 100 meters. She was like a cannonball at the moment, and immediately charged towards Gongyi above the sky. Come on. Gongyi's smile didn't change, he went forward without retreating. Although the tailed beast scares everyone, Gongyi doesn't take it seriously. In the face of powerful forces, the tailed beast can only be a joke. Their existence is just to make Gong Yi stronger. 503. God of Ninjutsu, 5th more. Boom. With Niyugido, who has been transformed into a half-tailed beast, the ninjas of Kumogakure village have turned ashes. Because they can see that despite her strength, it is still difficult to resist Gong Yi. Faced with this, Konoha's 5th Hokage, Niyugido is still at a disadvantage. For a short while, she was lying there panting, staring at Gong Yi with a calm expression. The situation of both is clear at a glance. Now Niyugido can't take Gong Yi at all. On the contrary, she still needs to be on guard against Gong Yi's attacks everywhere. Damn. Niyugido, who is still conscious now, can't help but curse inwardly. I have already reached such a state, and I still feel powerless. Gong Yi standing there, as if she didn't feel like she was facing a human. On the contrary, he's more like a monster. If it wasn't for the tailed beast in his body, Niyugido would be delusional. Not out yet. Just as Niyugido cursed, Gong Yi looked at her and murmured alone. If you don't come out, it will be very difficult for you to do it yourself. Forget it, since you don't take the initiative to release it. As if he had made up his mind, Gong Yi's entire figure disappeared instantly. By the time everyone saw it, he had already come to Niyugido's eyes. Then I'll force you out. Boom! A Yuhi-colored figure flew upside down with a loud noise. Even with Niyugido, who has become a tailed beast, she can't keep up with Gong Yi's speed at all. By the time she reacted, she was already knocked into the air by Gong Yi. Raiden Thunder Style Jinchuriki Column. Gong Yi did not stop. Hand seal instant ninjutsu with both hands. Sheila. In an instant, one after another terrifying blue thunder and lightning suddenly erupted. The rumbling sound, accompanied by the surrounding rain, made people feel that it was like an angry thunder falling from the sky. Almost in the blink of an eye, Niyugido just stopped getting out of shape, and 4 huge thunder Jinchuriki column appeared around her. The crackling arc on it kept beating, completely blocking her surroundings. How is it possible? Niyugido trapped inside, her heart kept shaking. How could he create such a powerful Raiden Thunder-style ninjutsu? As a ninja of Kumogakure village, natural ninjutsu is Raiden Thunder-style. The Raiden Thunder-style of Kumogakure village is also famous in the entire ninja continent. Every Kumogakure village ninja is proud of their use of Raiden Thunder-style ninjutsu. Today, after seeing Gong Yi use this Raiden Thunder-style ninjutsu, many people have been refreshed. Because of Hokage of Konoha village, his knowledge of Raiden Thunder-style ninjutsu is so high. Even completely surpasses them. When thinking of this, Niyugido's heart is getting more and more panic. And Azabui and other senior officials of Kumogakure village, when they saw this Raiden Thunder-style ninjutsu blocking Niyugido's actions, their faces became more desperate. They gradually came to know that the reason why Niyugido can still entangle with him is most likely the 5th Hokage of Konoha village. He has not fully used his full power at all. The power of Sage Art's chakra is still surging. Obviously, the current Gong Yi, he did not give up at all. Just a thought, when the Raiden Thunder-style Jinchuriki column has just finished forming, a huge water Uzumaki has appeared behind Gong Yi. Wow! As Gong Yi raised his hand, the rolling water in Uzumaki quickly condensed into a water mark and appeared in his hand. Sweetened water-style hard whirlpool water blade explodes immediately towards the Niyugido in front of you. Throw it out. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 fierce water marks rushing. They made a humming sound, and they were not aimed at Niyugido. When everyone looked over, they found that their target was the Jinchuriki column of 4 giant thunderbolts. Everyone didn't understand at all what Gong Yi was for. Wait, if someone goes to show their doubts, they already understand. Because the next picture has completely solved their confusion. After the 4 sharp water mark rushes penetrated the lightning giant Jinchuriki column, the earth-shaking change has taken place. It was obviously only a small water mark rush, but suddenly turned into a huge waterspout. Lightning has penetrated on it because of this. Its whole body is also wrapped with the power of Raiden thunder style. I was looking at the tyrannical waterspout, but now with the strengthening of thunder and lightning, it is even more terrifying. Seeing these, everyone only felt numbness in their scalps, and some powerlessness came to their hearts. No one has ever seen this gorgeous and powerful ninjutsu. As for the use of Gongyi Suiten, water style, and Raiden thunder style, the Kumogakure village is very shocked, but the people in Konoha village are amazed. The original Sarutobi Hiruzen Grandmaster was a 5-attribute ninjutsu, known as a ninjutsu professor. After seeing Gongyi, they completely feel that he can be called the god of ninjutsu. They all understand that Gongyi can now not only master the 5 attributes of ninjutsu, but also enhance and use it perfectly. Especially, he also developed a more frightening Kekkei Jinkei Jindun. Seeing this today, everyone finally understands the normal use of ninjutsu. In fact, Gongyi's master is very scary. Reason why no one usually finds out is that it is just concealed by his stronger ability. Especially these, the new generation of Konoha village ninjas, after they saw Gongyi on the battlefield, Kamui, and killed Raikage to suppress the tail beast. In my heart, I was whispering to myself, it turns out that all those seniors said are true. No, it should be said that not only did not exaggerate Gongyi's deeds, but also described a lot of mediocrity. Roar. A roar of pain appeared, echoing across the plain. Everyone is still there. The ninjas who shocked Gongyi's ninjutsu all came back to their senses. Niyugido, now a half-tailed beast, was completely swallowed by the water Uzumaki intertwined with thunder and lightning. Trapped here, she has not even thought about the next plan. She has been forced to a dead end by Gongyi's compound ninjutsu. The advent of the 4-water Uzumaki, a more terrifying force appeared. Everyone could clearly perceive that it was from Niyugido who was trapped in the center. Come on, two tails. Gongyi was standing above Niyugido at this moment. He lowered his head and looked at her quietly and smiled. Such a seamless attack by myself is for the arrival of this moment. The chakra power of the two-tailed brigade has appeared. Seems that Niyugido, her last resort can only be to release it. Phylou reminds you. An LT collection, please keep this paragraph, otherwise you will be banned from collecting IP. Chapter 504. Ridiculous Peace Plan. First, the sound of deafening roar came out, and an invisible shock wave swept all around. The entire plane that has been cracked has collapsed a lot at this time. The loud rumbling sound continued to be heard, and everything around was destroyed. The tailed beast has appeared. Niyugido has already taken care of everything. In such a state, she was constantly being suppressed by Gongyi, which made her feel very powerless. There is no other way. For the sake of Kumogakure village, she can only fight to the death. If you don't fully release the brigade now, it is estimated that he will be killed in the next round of duel. Gongyi's chakra is powerful, and his master's ninjutsu is even more varied. In his current state, he has no advantage at all. At least release his power completely before he was killed. Well, she naturally didn't know that if Gongyi wanted to kill her, he would have done it. Reason why he didn't start for a long time is naturally to force the body of the second tails out. The slave belongs to the chakra of the two-tailed brigade. When the smoke created by Gongyi's 2 rounds of ninjutsu slowly dissipated, a huge blue cat demon appeared below. It has black patterns all over its body, a pair of mandarin duck eyes, one yellow and one green, which looks quite strange. As soon as Yulu appeared, it swayed its 2 huge tails and looked up at Gongyi. Human Jinchuriki column force can communicate with the tailed beast. Obviously Niyugido, who has perfect control and travel, has already told it something subconsciously. Yulu was obviously a lot more cautious at this moment, and he didn't say anything as soon as he appeared. Roared away. Of course, this more rational tailed beast may be much more terrifying than that. However, seeing that the current Tu Taiyu brigade is very calm, Gong Yi's heart has not changed. Because its state is good or bad, it has nothing to do with the current self. Anyway, the final outcome is the same, it will be suppressed by itself. This time Gong he didn't want to completely kill it and Niyugito. Gong Yi's main goal is just the chakra that wants it. As for other functions, Gong Yi also wants it to contribute to the 10 tails on Akatsuki's side. Over time, Akatsuki should have started planning. Gong Yi didn't choose to kill all the tailed beasts, or hide them with himself. He is to make Akatsuki collect the tailed beasts perfectly, and to make Uchiha Obito revive 10 tails. Its main purpose is not to let them complete that ridiculous peace plan. But Gong Yi has already thought of using them to reduce the fighting power of the other 4 ninja villages. When the 4th ninja world is finalized, then Gong Yi's plan to unify the ninja world will be unstoppable. What I am doing now is, of course, suppressing and exploiting in disguised form. But compared with the next 4 battles, the current loss is probably not painful at all. Therefore, it is also a good choice to use Uchiha Obito to become your own ultimate plan. Whoosh, whoosh, 2 air-breaking sounds came out, and the silence between the 2 ended quickly. Gong Yi regained his senses in the sky, and saw that the second 2 tails and the brigade below had already shot. The 2 huge tails behind it were like chains, sweeping towards him. But even though it looked like a chain from a distance, but when it was really approaching, the 2 tails were bigger than a truck. If it is swept away by it, the whole person is afraid that the limbs will be separated and die without a whole body. Shaking his hands out, when Gong Yi saw Yulu's attack coming, he threw a special kunai towards the bottom. The technique of Hiraishin was activated. It was just dazzling, and the fierce and unstoppable attack of the second and second tails was completely swept away. So fast. When the second 2 tails saw Gong Yi, who disappeared in an instant, his face showed a trace of human horror. In the back, it seems that he has already sensed that the moment the second 2 tail traveled again, his heart suddenly tightened. Kaden, Fire Style, Majestic Destroyer Flame, Great Fire Annihilation. When the 2-2 tailed brigade wanted to turn around, Gong Yi had already hand-sealed with both hands, and immediately spit out a piece of flame towards the front. The tyrannical Sage Art Chakra condensed frantically, and the huge flames were like a tsunami, completely swallowing the 2 tails and the brigade. The power of this Kaden, Fire Style, ninjutsu is not huge, but when it is released in Gong Yi's hands, it is completely different. The height of dozens of meters and the range of hundreds of meters have all become a sea of flames. Hula. However, the second and second tails were not slow to respond, and it jumped to a position thousands of thousands in front of it extremely fast. When the huge body turned around, the second and second tails opened their huge mouths and spit forward. Pieces of blue flames are released, although not as spectacular as Gong Yi's Kaden Fire Style, but it can be resisted reluctantly. In just half a second, the entire plane was enveloped in flames. Gong Yi and the second 2-tailed tour, their figures, the Konoha village ninjas and the Kumogakure village ninjas on both sides, can no longer be seen. They don't know what's going on inside. Only the orange Yuhi color and blue flames on the periphery are constantly intertwined, allowing them to judge the situation inside. Whoosh whoosh. Several unique kunai were thrown out again, heading towards the second and second tails and traveling in all directions. Seeing the scene around him, Gong Yi's face wrong showed a smile. Of creating the flame just now was naturally to hide people's eyes and ears. Need to cut off the body of Wei in front of everyone, and then seal it. This case, it will be invisible to those who are attentive. Now this situation is different. When this terrifying flame has covered everything, Gong Yi is relieved. As long as you get the chakra of 2 tails and brigade, you can immediately end the fight. Although the war between the two villages only lasted for 2 days, Geng Yi was still reluctant to waste time. After all, he still has a lot of things to do. The art of narration is activated again. The two-tailed brigade, who kept spitting out blue flames with its mouth open, just noticed this. After that, Geng Yi had disappeared in front of him. When he reappeared, he had come to the side of Er-Tu-Wei-Yu brigade with a smile. Damn humans. After Er-Tu-Tai-Yu spit out a large blue flame in anger, its huge cat head turned to the side to stare at Geng Yi. Hee, let's start. Completely ignoring Yulu, Geng Yi smiled and whispered to himself. Immediately, a terrifying chakra has erupted. To read the underlined version of the novel, please download the latest chapter of Fei Lu Shao Kan. Block Collection IP. Chapter 505, A Tailed Beast Without Morals, 2nd. When Geng Yi had exploded his power, two tails and two huge tails had swept again. Because of its huge size, it naturally cannot change its shape very flexibly. Therefore, its general attack methods are mostly the two tails that are more flexible. Seeing the second attack from the second tails, Geng Yi waved his hand. The light of Jin Dun bloomed again, and even covered the wall of flames that had reached a height of several hundred meters. Bang, bang, two muffled noises came out, and the two big hands that Jin Dun condensed just happened to grab Yulu's two tails. What a tough human being. Er-Tu-Tai-Yu brigade couldn't help but secretly said. Apparently it is communicating with Niyugito. Now with the appearance of himself, the situation has not changed at all. The contrary, they are still being pressed everywhere, and the second Two-Tail-Yu brigade has fallen into a very passive state. Jin escapes thorns and kills. When he saw that the timing was right, Geng Yi immediately drink and release ninjutsu. Fragments of radiant light bloomed, and they all condensed into the air, a huge golden giant Jinchuriki column, and there were dozens of them if you counted them carefully. The sound of bang 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 kept appearing, and they all began to be inserted around the second tails and the brigade. Immediately, no wait, the second tails went to fight back again, and long golden thorns began to appear on the huge golden Jinchuriki column. Completely imprisoned, now that the two tails are traveling again, it can't even take a step forward. Around its body are all golden thorns. If you really want to rush with a tyrannical body, then it will instantly become a hedgehog. Human, you are courting death. The second two-tail again began to get angry. It completely cut off the subconscious communication with the human Jinchuriki column force. Tailed beasts naturally have their own dignity, and Geng Yi's constant suppression of his own behavior makes it feel very shameful. This is an ant-like human being who can kill him with his eyes closed. Now, on the other hand, he has been pressing himself step by step. Even now, at this time, he has been completely restricted from moving. The 22-tailed tour has given birth to the idea of killing Geng Yi. Well, it's basically rare to see a tailed beast with no discipline like a Shukaku. Most tailed beasts are still very concerned about these things. Start recycling. Completely ignore the two tails. A faint smile appeared on Geng Yi's indifferent face. In order to prevent the departure of the two tails and the brigade, Geng Yi naturally needed such a means of confinement. Every time, for insurance, he would naturally go to some trouble. Now, under such circumstances, he can finally do it. As Geng Yi's voice fell, a look of contempt suddenly erupted. Through the surrounding flames, it covered the plain, and even enveloped the entire battlefield. Everyone could feel it, and they couldn't help gasping for air. Knows what kind of situation is in the flames now. Cut. With a low shout, Geng Yi raised his hand and waved towards Er-Tu-Wei. Following that, a golden light appeared above his head. It instantly turned into a blade of light and came to Geng Yi's side. Almost at the same time, the golden blade of light fell along with his gesture. The tailed beast is a very strong body, and it is completely vulnerable under the golden light blade. The two tails and the huge animal claws were cut off directly. With a swish, the scroll swung forward, Gong Yi immediately. The two giant animal claws were sealed inside. As the sealed scroll fell, Gong Yi threw out the characteristic kunai, and immediately activated narration to come under the second tail. Catch the reel and put it away. Not bad. When everything was settled, Gong Yi's face became even more smiling, completely ignoring the roaring Ertu Taiyu brigade. Shukaku the next tail, the two-tailed Tuer, the three-tailed Isofu, the four-tailed Monkey King, the six-tailed Rhinoceros, and the seven-tailed Shigeki have all been collected. And the most troublesome eight-tailed Bull Ghost, Cubit Nine Tails, Kurama's chakra, is also completed. This time, my own small 10 tails Jinchuriki column force plan basically has no problems. As for the five-tailed King Mew from Iwagakure village, Gong Yi is not worried at all. That old guy Onoki, he had provoked a war between Kumogakure village and Konoha village before, was enough for him to drink a pot. Therefore, as long as Gong Yi thinks, there are many ways to deal with him. Furthermore, the avatar of the consciousness is there, and it is enough to make a crucial decision. Over time, the talent he has shown has become a powerful force, but it is heavily used in the village of Iwagakure. And his reputation is even greater. Although he is not a force to be reckoned with, he is an indispensable fighting force in Iwagakure village. Here, the matter in Kumogakure village has been settled, and in Sunagakure village, all you need to do is to cooperate with the avatar of consciousness, then everything can be settled. When thinking of these, after that, Gong Yi immediately remove Jin-dun, who has imprisoned the second two tails and the brigade. Phew, crazy 22 tails are in pain again and again. When they saw that the ninjutsu that trapped them was gone, it rushed towards Gong Yi. Although one huge animal claw is missing, its attack power is still amazing, even more terrifying than just now. Now Gong Yi's behavior has completely angered Ertu Taiyu brigade. Go back, kitty. Gong Yi is in a good mood when all the plans are now completed. Although the second two tails and brigade are very crazy, but he does not show killing intent. After all, it's still useful to keep the second and second tails, and Gong Yi naturally won't kill it. What did you say? However, the 22-tailed brigade is almost roaring and completely mad. Front of this human who angered him, he actually dared to call himself a kitten. With a buzz, this belongs to the terrifying tailed beast chakra, which has become even more crazy. Again the yellow and green pupils. The chubby staring at this moment, obviously has really been extremely furious. Gong Yi's behavior has never been seen again in the second and second tails. His calm demeanor seemed to have never been afraid of himself at all. Boom, thinking of these. After that, a huge shock came out. I saw that under the current Yulu, that the position where Gong Yi stood just now has become a deep pit. Countless cracks are densely packed, and this place has been completely collapsed by Yulu. But at the moment, it didn't feel relaxed at all. Because in front of him, Gong Yi was looking at it with a smile. Although he was laughing, but in the eyes of Ertu Yulu, it was a chill. Even the furious it can't help but shiver. Chapter 506. Hee, it's almost time, so this farce should also end. Gong Yi looked at Ertu Taiyu brigade, he smiled and murmured. Yes. Hearing Gong Yi's words, the second and second tails froze again. But before it could react, Gong Yi's body suddenly erupted with a terrifying power of sealing. He shot out into the sky, shocking all directions. He didn't talk nonsense with Yulu at all, but chose to seal it directly. Human, stop me. When feeling the familiar power in Gong Yi, Ertu Taiyu brigade's complexion changed greatly. Although it has reached a cooperative relationship with Niyugido. Now, it still doesn't want to return to the body of the two-tailed Jinchuriki column force. Such a sealed cage that restricts its freedom, no tailed beast would like it. Seal. When the words were over, Gong Yi went to care about Yulu's thoughts, and he quickly stretched out his hand and pressed it towards Ertu tails. Immediately afterwards, the furious second two tails began to tremble all over, and then the entire huge body was completely twisted. A tyrannical attraction that is irresistible, pulls it completely as soon as it appears, and brings it into the body of the human Jinchuriki column force. Just now, Niyugito, who is furious with Gongyi, she has closed her eyes and lies in front of Gongyi. The whole action was smooth, and after only a few dozen seconds of effort, the second and second tails were completely sealed. He raised his hand again and waved to the front. The big hand that Jindun turned into immediately appeared, and the wall of flames surrounding it immediately appeared. Disperse. Hula. When all the flames disintegrated, the ninjas from Kumogakure village and Konoha village could already see everything inside. The light rain above the sky began to stop, and the thick dark clouds completely dissipated. The shaded sun has slowly reappeared, and the dazzling sunlight has begun to shine on the earth. When the first golden glow appeared through the dark cloud, it sprinkled on Gongyi. He was wearing the Hokage royal robe, and that was how he was quietly bathed under the light. In the whole vast plain, Gongyi was the only one, and his shadow was also reflected at the moment, dragging for a long time. At this moment, Gongyi, in the still gloomy environment around him, seems to be reflected in the light, a god. Now he is awe and fear of everyone. They seem to feel that they are no longer facing ordinary people, but the supreme god of the entire ninja world. Especially the Kumogakure village ninja who was just looking forward to it. He naturally noticed Niyugito lying in front of Gongyi. She is defeated. Although she has completely released the second and second tails, she still can't shake Gongyi. Just like the original 8 tails, although they are strong for them, they are still completely defeated. This time Kumogakure village lost grievous. Not only did a lot of ninja powers die, but the 4th generation of Raikage also died in this battle. Only one last piece of good news. So it seems that the people in front of you are okay. If she is dying, then the whole cloud is afraid that it is no longer as strong as Sunagakure village. But, despite this, no one dared to go forward to rescue Niyugito. Go. The high-level officials of Kumogakure village and others saw such a scene, and they all came to such a conclusion after looking at each other in dismay. It can be seen that everyone now looks complicated, ranging from anger, shock and fear. They couldn't fight, and they didn't even have the courage to go to Gongyi's eyes to save Niyugito. The ninjas of Kumogakure village are the main fighting faction. It is true that they are belligerent and fierce. But, that doesn't mean they are fools and have no fear at all. When the current situation has happened, their self-confidence has been completely destroyed. Kidding. Now the 5th Hokage of Konoha village, no one can stop him. The 4th generation of Raikage was killed, and the second two-tailed man Jinchuriki column was unconscious. Now, even if they are not afraid of sacrifice, they don't want to waste their lives with the 5th generation Hokage, doing these futile things. Because it is really just a waste of money, or a real meaningless sacrifice. Every high-level executive can see, the situation is now deadly for the Kumogakure village. The strongest combat power here has almost been disintegrated. And those ordinary ninja power, even if they go to attack again, they are completely unable to fight back. Just being a 5th generation Hokage, they have absolutely nothing to do. It can be said that the most important morale of the current Kumogakure village has been completely lost. In war, the most important thing is morale. A state of high morale, there will always be a fighting force no matter what. Now that it is completely gone, most people only have fear, so this war can already be decided. Their Kumogakure village has already gone, and if they don't leave, it can only be a one-sided massacre. That's right, Kumogakure village will even encounter an unprecedented crisis. At this point, I have thought of this in my mind. After that, they, the high-level people, understand. In the village of Kumogakure, it is impossible to win. None of them can turn the tide like Hokage in Konoha village. All retreat. Order, the high-level officials of Kumogakure village immediately. Both hands hand seal. All released the terrifying Raiden Thunder-style ninjutsu and began to interfere with the front of the battlefield. The rest of the people have taken the opportunity to start immediately. Quickly back away. All the Anbu elites also began to use their own methods to quickly leave the battlefield. No one knows whether the current 5 generations of Hokage will slaughter them madly. Soon, as the elites and high-level leaders of Kumogakure village left, the ordinary ninjas of Kumogakure village naturally followed suit. Back! Run! Run! Shouts, panicked voices, spread throughout the army of Kumogakure village. The banging sound kept coming. Some of the Kumogakure village ninjas even left the ninja swords and kunai in their hands tightly on the ground, and immediately left. The neat and orderly army of Kumogakure village smashed into chaos and fled in embarrassment in the direction of the Land of Thunder. Win! We won! Long live Hokage-sama! Hokage-sama is invincible. When they saw the ninjas of Kumogakure village, they were all scared away by Gong Yi alone. All the Konoha ninjas raised their arms and shouted. The sound of the shock spread all over the plain, and even the ninjas of Kumogakure village who left at the end could hear it. Cut. However, despite the shame on their faces, they still did not dare to stop their escaping steps. Defeated. This time, Kumogakure village has been defeated in a mess. Hula. And at this moment, several big golden hands suddenly appeared behind Gong Yi. Immediately after, they all shot towards the position of the Kumogakure village ninja in front. Sky and covering the sun, it was extremely ferocious. All the ninjas in the Kumogakure village felt a sense of inevitability. The power of contempt came. Chapter 507. Konoha has a strong history. Boom, boom, several huge shocking sounds appeared, and the front was instantly swallowed by the giant golden palm. Countless rubble flew, and countless ninjas in Kumogakure village were all slapped into flesh with one palm. Dare to touch my Konoha village. Death is your only end. Gong Yi stood there, looked at the Kumogakure village ninja who fled in front of him, and said indifferently. Although the voice was not loud, it was clearly heard in the ears of every ninja in Kumogakure village. At this moment, Gong Yi's invincible aura was complemented by his words. Now every ninja in Konoha village is beyond words. All staring at Gong Yi with adoring awe. Ha ha ha, our Konoha village is victorious. Dare to touch our Konoha village, damn it. Lord Hokage is invincible, long live. Next second, countless cheers shook the sky again. Lord Hokage, shall we pursue the victory? When everything was over, Hyuga Hiyashi came to Gong Yi's side and asked. Yes, now should we wipe out Kumogakure village in one fell swoop? Generals of Konoha here also asked him. Gong Yi was here, so it was impossible for them to arbitrarily decide to let the army of Konoha village act. No need. Gong Yi shook his head and looked at the Kumogakure village ninjas who were about to disappear into the horizon. Their troops have fled. The end, I used this to kill prestige, and it was less than 1/10 of 10%. Thinking of this, Gong Yi turned his gaze back to Niyugito lying on the ground. He smiled and said lightly, now that they have their 2-to-2-tailed Jinchuriki column force in their hands, naturally they will come to find us. Well, Hokage-sama is right. Yamanaka Inoichi nodded and said in agreement, now that the Kumogakure village has been defeated, we will only make useless sacrifices if we pursue it. Okay, take the troops back to the village. Understood. Hearing Gong Yi's order, everyone immediately nod and shout. As for, now Gong Yi, every ninja in Konoha village is completely obedient, and no one is going to refute it. With the battle over, Gong Yi has left an even stronger legacy in the history of Konoha village. Later, although Hokage took over in the meeting, it was almost impossible to achieve Gong Yi's achievements. He is already the most popular Hokage in the history of Konoha village. Even the first-generation Senju Hashirama who created Konoha village, or the second-generation Senju Tobarama who developed a lot of ninjutsu, and the third-generation Sarutobi Hiruzen, the fourth generation on behalf of Namikaze Minato, it is difficult for them to be comparable to Gangyi. Because of all the things he has done, all of them have captured the hearts of people perfectly. Konoha Village, Central Administration Building. What? Gangyi has entered the battlefield. As if Jiraiya had heard it wrong, Nara Shikaku asked. That's right. Seeing Tsunade and Jiraiya in front of him, Nara Shikaku nodded. This guy is still so impulsive. Hearing this, Tsunade shook his head. How's the battle going now? Let's go to Tsunade Jiraiya 3. They just returned to the Konoha village after finishing the matter on Orochimaru's side. After sending Naruto back, the two came to find Gangyi non-stop. Originally the two were still there. I thought Gangyi, as Hokage, should stay behind to preside over the overall situation. Unexpectedly, this guy who has never been restless really went to the battlefield in person. Now the battle situation ahead, after the 5 generations have passed, it has never been passed on. Nara Shikaku shrugged and looked at Jiraiya and Tsunade. I think you shouldn't have to go there. You came back from a long journey, and now you should stay in the village and have a good rest. Rest now the front line is fighting against Kumogakure village, how can we rest? Hearing Nara Shikaku's indifferent words, Tsunade's face darkened and he complained a little. Tsunade, who was already afraid of blood, was almost cured under the influence of Gangyi and later Naruto's mouth escape. Haven't seen Gangyi's Tsunade for a long time, although I can always hear about Gangyi's legendary deeds. But now, she is still a little worried when she has not seen the true power of Gangyi. Kumogakure village opposite, they are not easy to deal with. Especially if Raikage of the 4th generation, and Jinchuriki column force of the second two-tailed person, it will be even more troublesome. Seeing Tsunade's appearance, Nara Shikaku shook his head somewhat speechlessly. Now it's not that Nara Shikaku is very big-hearted, but that he has absolute confidence in Gangyi. Although the battle situation ahead has not been obtained, Nara Shikaku feels that there should be no problems in this battle. After all, the feeling that Gangyi has left Nara Shikaku for a long time is unmatched. This also caused Nara Shikaku to have a mentality, suggesting that as long as Gangyi came forward, then all problems might be solved. Swish, Sir Shikaku. At this time, a dark shadow appeared. He wears the uniform of the Konoha village ninja, but there is something special about it. However, the three of them can see at a glance that he is the ninja responsible for communicating with the front line. How's the battle going? Seeing him appear, Nara Shikaku asked. The news from the front has now been received. Master Hokage shot and directly killed the 4th Raikage of Kumogakure village. Konoha ninja, who was in charge of the communication, didn't hide anything and said immediately. Jiraiya and Tsunade, who were present, knew each other. The two also belong to Konoha's core executives, so this is not a confidential report, so he naturally said it without reservation. Gangyi actually killed the 4th generation of Raikage. Hearing this, Tsunade's expression froze, obviously not thinking of it. As the 4th generation Raikage dead? Nara Shikaku's expression was also stunned, but he also didn't expect it. Two armies are fighting, and now a shadow has died, which is a very big thing. The last time the death of Kazekage Rasa, the 4th generation of Sunagakure village, and the death of Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen, the 3rd generation of his own Konoha village, was already a sensation. That's right, Lord Hokage took him out with no effort at all. Nodding, the ninja in charge of communication said with pride. From the current appearance of this ninja, everyone can see it. Gangyi is so sacred in their hearts. Of course, the ninja in charge of communication, he hasn't finished talking at all. Because the next thing is very important. Chapter 508. The biggest hole card, 5th more. Now you all heard it. Following the ninja in charge of the communication report, Nara Shikaku looked at Tsunade and Jiraiya with a sigh of relief as soon as his voice fell. Since Gangyi easily eliminated the 4th Raikage, this battle should not be going on for long. I reckon one day we'll be able to win. After Nara Shikaku briefly analyzed it, he smiled. As long as Gangyi continues to oppress, I don't think Kumogakure village will struggle for long. Dear Shikaku-sama. Seeing Nara Shikaku say with a smile on his face, the communication ninja looked at him immediately. Said, now Hokage-sama, after killing Raikage from Kumogakure village, he also captured Jinchuriki column force from Kumogakure village alive. That's it, Lord Hokage, alone, scared the entire army of Kumogakure away. We have won this battle. Nara Shikaku. Because of the communication ninjas panting, the entire office was a little silent. 3 of them jumped inwardly, as if they thought they had heard it wrong. Kill the 4th Raikage. Gangyi actually captured another Jinchuriki column force and now this battle has only been going on for half a day, and then it's over. You must know that they marched out of the land of Tien only yesterday, but as Gangyi entered just now after the battlefield, the war ended like a child's play. Nara Shikaku swears that he has never seen such a thing. Tsunade and Jiraiya have never seen such a thing. All of them were pounding in their hearts now, revealing a faint complexion on their faces. Because it was so unexpected. Has been looking at the calm Nara Shikaku, and now he is also invisibly excited. With the village of Kumogakure is not an ordinary petty fight. Nara Shikaku has carefully analyzed their ninja power, and all aspects. This is a very tough opponent, and the guy who threatens Konoha village the most. All the worries that I thought about now were completely disintegrated again because of Gangyi's intervention. Because there is nothing left, they have won. Jiraiya and Tsunade, who were eager to go to war, were equally complicated. Of course, after a short while, when the communication ninja left, their faces were also very happy. Since we can win the battle, this is undoubtedly in the ninja continent, once again proving the strength of Konoha village. At the same time, on Gangyi's side, it's time to start Konoha. All the Konoha village ninjas had excited faces. In just half a day, they ended the battle. And it was a great victory, without too many casualties. A lot of people are naturally very fortunate to not have it. More, all the Konoha ninjas are also very proud. After all, they just fought alongside Gangyi in disguise. Although it was just onlookers, it was enough for them to show off for a lifetime. Walking ahead, Gangyi did not immediately choose separate early to go back. Now that the Jinchuriki column of Kumogakure village's two-tailed man is here, he is naturally not at ease. Although the seal has been released, he is also worried that the Kumogakure village will make a comeback. These combat power, although Gangyi knew that the current Kumogakure village could not threaten them at all. But Gangyi still doesn't want meaningless sacrifices. Because of them, Gangyi wants to use them later. And these alone are not enough, he has to increase his efforts to cultivate. After the next 4 battles are over, the power of the ninjas of Konoha village will be the biggest trump card for completing their ultimate plan. So now as far as possible, Gangyi doesn't want these ninja powers to die too much. Of course, Gangyi also knew very well. The Battle of Kumogakure village comes out. In the next few years, there will never be any big villages who dare to go to Konoha village. Although they are developing very fast now, and the pace is very big, it is still impossible for the ninja village to cause trouble. Although it is said that a village is too powerful, and it is still in the group, there is a trend that cannot be surpassed, and it will definitely be remembered by people. It's even easy to let the rest of the individuals integrate to fight against this single individual. The current Gangyi is not worried about these. Because he knows, and there is not enough profit to drive, no one will take the risk. Sunagakure village, Kumogakure village, is the end of everyone. Before the two, one was an economic big village, and the other was a big village with strong ninja power. They touched their own interests without any bottom line, thus mobilizing and starting the war. But after that, their fate was known to the entire ninja continent. So, when this kind of thing continued to be known, I wanted the other 444 ninja Omura to put down each other's guard and start to deal with their own Konoha village with the enemy. That is simply impossible. A Kurigakure village alone is not like this at all. Terumi has long been invisibly in the same big boat with herself. And their mission points in the inland have already prospered, and they have already created a lot of income for the Kurigakure village. Although it seems to be a win-win situation, Gangyi has long since choked the lifeblood of Kurigakure village. She will not betray herself. As for Sunagakure village, now the Gaara pawn has been buried. When Akatsuki goes to capture Aikiao later, Gangyi can also use them to make Gaara willingly surrender to Konoha village. As for the Kumogakure village, their 4 generations of Reikage died, and this time they even lost their Jinchuriki, column power, so they naturally have no ability to unite the rest. Looking at it now, in fact, there is only one Iwagakure village in Onoki left. Just their words, Gangyi didn't take it seriously at all. In response to their plans, Gangyi has long since completed. When the rest of the matter here is almost resolved, it is the moment to capture Wuwei. Well, weakening the power of Iwagakure village is naturally within Gangyi's plan. When all the dust settled, several ninja villages were all weakened again and again. And his own tailed beast just happened to have all collected. I can safely study the plans of the small 10 tails Jinchuriki column force. And Gangyi doesn't care about Akatsuki's side. After their capture of the tailed beasts is over, the 10 tails will be resurrected, and the 4th battle will naturally come. At that moment, his ultimate plan can be officially launched. Well, Gangyi, forget it, this day is getting closer. To read the underlined version of the novel, please download the latest chapter of Fei Lu Shao Kan, or block the collection of IP. Chapter 509, Mask Off A. Ninja Land. Here the mountains are connected to the mountains, and people can't see the end. At this moment, this place is close to the periphery of the ninja world, and no one has lived here for a long time. The poor living conditions and the lack of resources to develop make it a barren land. Inside a dark cave. Tick, tick, the sound of water came out, constantly echoing around. Maybe something is wrong. Now the second tails of Kumogakure village have been captured by the 5th generation of Hokage. Ju slowly appeared in the earth, revealing half of his body, looking at him and said, "Well, anyway, it doesn't matter." Standing on the fingers of the towering Geto Mazo, demonic statue of the outer path, Pain Heavenly Path said slowly and indifferently, "Now, with the character of Konoha Hokage, I think he will blackmail Kumogakure last time, and then he will kill Jinchuriki. Column force back to them. He has put all his energy into developing Ninja Village." Pain Heavenly Path seemed to think that he knew Gangyi very well, and continued, "So, he has actually posed no threat to our next plan at all." Hey, boss, you're right. Then, when will we act next?" Hidan on the other side, carrying a 3-stage sickle on his back, picked his ears and said with dissatisfaction, "I'm going to rust if I stay here. The situation in the ninja world is a little turbulent now, even if Konoha's Hokage doesn't intervene. Will our next plan cause any unnecessary trouble?" As soon as Hidan finished speaking, Conan looked at Pain next to him with no expression on his face. "What do you mean? Is it because of this? We are still here to wait." Seeing that no one answered him, Hidan complained a little embarrassedly. "Can't wait any longer now." Pain looked at the people standing in front of him, and he continued in a cold voice, "It has been delayed long enough. If it continues like this, it is very likely that even more unexpected situations will occur." The Akatsuki members standing on Geto Mazo, demonic statue of the outer path, at this moment are all silent. Only Hidan spoke just now, and they were obviously all quietly waiting for Pain Heavenly Path's order. Please wait for the seniors. If I act now, should I confirm my identity?" A sudden, panicked voice appeared, and a man standing beside Uchiha Itachi danced and spoke. Said that, he also took out a ring, shook it in front of everyone, and continued, Mr. Ju said that if you have this ring, you can join Akatsuki. The voice, Pain Heavenly Path looked over. I saw this man. He had short black hair, and an orange Uzumaki mask on his face. However, on the mask he wore, only one pupil was exposed, which made people feel a little mysterious. Of course, now that he has opened his mouth like this, he has completely ignored him. I don't know where to find this guy. He has apparently replaced Kisame Hoshigaki, who was killed. Well, since I definitely found you, then I have naturally recognized you. Just as Kisame Hoshigaki has already gone to form a team with Itachi. Heavenly Path Pain looked at the man. His pair of Rinnegan seemed to have a somewhat complicated glow. Looking at this funny masked man in front of him, Pain Heavenly Path didn't sneer like the rest. Apparently, the two seemed to intersect. However, such thoughts were suppressed by Pain Heavenly Path in less than half a second. Quote. As for Ju, who showed his half-body, he also shrugged and didn't say anything more. Ah, really? Cough, cough, seniors, my name is Faye, please take care of everyone. Pain Heavenly Path just nodded in agreement. Faye looked at the people around him excitedly. Now Faye, he seems to have just accomplished something incredible. His breathing is a little short. Seemed to be buoyed by the fact that he was able to join Akatsuki. HMPH, a fool. Hidan looked at Faye and cursed inwardly. And Sasori of the Red Sand, and Coke, all just glanced at them coldly and ignored them. Only Uchiha Itachi, with the eyes of Yuhi the gorilla, watched him silently for a while. Senior Itachi, I will give more advice in the future. Seemingly sensing Itachi's gaze, Faye looked at him and bowed deeply. Bit too polite, of Faye, making everyone feel that he seems to be more unreliable than Hidan. But Uchiha Itachi didn't think so at the moment. After he glanced at Faye indifferently, he ignored him. It seems that Pain is looking for eyeliner to spy on me. Uchiha Itachi couldn't help but murmur to himself, could it be that a certain link in the transmission of information to Lord Gongyi has been exposed? But it doesn't look like that. It's very likely that after all this time, they still don't seem to trust me. Itachi was thoughtful, and in just half a second, he thought of a lot of possibilities. He was not deceived by Faye's speechless appearance. Rather, with the death of Kisame Hoshigaki, Uchiha Itachi has begun to have to be careful. Especially this suddenly appeared partner, he naturally did not dare to be careless. Knowing the person and the face but not the heart, Itachi didn't want to die before Sasuke grew up. He also has something to do with Sasuke's arrangements, so Itachi naturally has to stick to that moment. Okay. Seeing that Faye wanted to speak, Pain Heavenly Path immediately stopped him. Now, taking advantage of the battle between Kumogakure and Konoha, we can officially start planning. The first goal, let's start with Aikyo Shukaku. Pain Heavenly Path seems to have been decided long ago. Looking at the people in front of him, he continued, their power at this moment has been weakened a lot, and it has saved a lot of trouble. Let me go this time, boss. Hearing that Pain Heavenly Path began to arrange the task, Hidan came to the spirit again and said to him. This time, Sasori, you can go alone. The rest, you all have the rest. Rejecting Hidan again, Pain Heavenly Path said lightly to Sasori of the Red Sand, who was standing alone. The current Sunagakure village has been weakened, and the quest to capture the One Tail, Sasori of the Red Sand, will not be a problem at all. Good. Sasori of the Red Sand, who had been silent, nodded. Now that he has not been active for a long time, he naturally wants to have a good fight. Of course, since Deidara's death, he hasn't been able to find a suitable team with him. At this time, he actually felt that he was alone, which might be a very good choice. Chapter 510, Konoha's Migrant Village. Lord Hokage, the statistics of our battle with Kumogakure village have come out. An elite ninja responsible for logistics in Konoha village, he slipped into the Hokage office. Saying that, he handed the scroll in his hand to Gong Yi, who was sitting in front of him. Well. Scroll. Gong Yi opened it and took a look. It's all here. Yes, but this is still a basic preliminary statistic. Hearing Gong Yi's question, the elite ninja nodded and responded immediately. I know, please continue to count the rest. Understood, Hokage-sama. Seeing the elite ninja nod again and leave, Gong Yi put the scroll away on the table. Today is the second day after the war with the village of Kumogakure. When returning to Konoha village, no one thought that a battle that was supposed to be very intense ended in only half a day. And through the statistics of the battle recorded on the scroll just now, because of his intervention, the ninja power in the entire Konoha village did not lose much. Most of those who died on Genin's side were some serious criminal ninjas who had been recruited before. As for the power of Chunin and Jonin, although there were casualties, they were not too traumatic. Genin and Chunin are okay, but every Jonin's death, Gong Yi is still very distressed. After all, cultivating a Jonin consumes a lot of resources. And Jonin, as the top power in a village, is naturally not as many as he imagined. Although in the original work and in the later period it seems that Jonin is more like a dog, in fact it is far from that. In each village, the number of Jonin is limited. Even if Gong Yi is now vigorously cultivating Jonin, and constantly paying money, it is still not enough. It can be seen that the power of Jonin is as precious as ever. Thoughts stopped, Gong Yi breathed a sigh of relief. Fortunately, everything was in his own plan. There is no deviation. The benefits gained from this battle are far greater than the losses. Moreover, now that there are two-tailed people Jinchuiki, column power here, I can use the same routine to blackmail Kumogakure village. But he wasn't ready to do it himself. This time, he had already handed it over to Nara Shikaku. He no longer pays attention to things in Kumogakure village. Anyway, the 4 generations of Reikage have died, and the ninja power they secretly accumulated has also been killed. Now basically his goal has been achieved, and he will not pay attention to the subsequent requests. In terms of current funds, although they consume a lot every day, they are still relatively rich. After all, Kurigakure village and Sunagakure village will allocate funds to Konoha village every month. With 2 ninja Omura working for him, Gong Yi can even sit back and relax. Well, it can be said now, adding more. Kurigakure village. Administration building, inside the Mizukage office. What? Terumi Mei had a look of disbelief on her face, and the former Ching said, in less than half a day, Kumogakure village actually retreated back. According to the information it is so. Ching shrugged, apparently also a little speechless. After he got the news before, he was in the same state as Terumi Mei. Konoha village, how far has it developed? Terumi Mei murmured in surprise. She was still a little afraid to accept it. Because of these, some of them are too bizarre. The village of Kumogakure is controlled by the main battle faction, and the ninjas in it are fierce and aggressive, so they have secretly accumulated power for so long, and their strength must be very powerful. Of Konoha village, it only took half a day for them to scare away the army of Kumogakure village. Terumi Mei, even though she was a shadow of a village, she still couldn't think of what method Konoha village used. It's not that Konoha village is growing too fast. Ching shook his head, looked at Terumi Mei and said, it was Hokage of the 5th generation who personally took action and joined the war on both sides. Gong Yi. That's right. Ching continued, at the beginning of the war, Reikage of the 4th generation did not act according to common sense, and almost suppressed the army of Konoha village. Later, Hokage of the 5th generation suddenly appeared and killed the 4th generation of Reikage. Like the one-tailed Jinchuriki column force of Sunagakure village, who was taken away by him. That is, the thunder of the 5th generation of Hokage, which disintegrated the army of Kumogakure village, and thus completely collapsed. It seems that he has obtained very detailed information, and now slowly reported what he knew. To Terumi Mei. Hiss. Terumi gasped when she heard this. Although her face was very indifferent, the death of the fourth Raikage still touched her a lot. In the past 6 months, there have been too many shadows of death. Kazekage, Hokage, and now even Raikage is dead. And he was killed by Gongyi himself. Even Jinchuriki column force was not spared. Through this news at this moment, Terumi actually felt a little more fortunate in her heart. That's right, the current Kurigakure village did not try to collude with the other 3 big villages, but chose to stand with Konoha village. She already felt that this was one of the best choices she had made since taking office at Mizukage. With Konoha village may seem dangerous now, the advantages outweigh the disadvantages. Aside from the inland mission points that are now prosperous, Konoha village will naturally not reach out to them. This gave Terumi a lot of peace of mind. Although their Kurigakure village is far away from the ninja continent, the ghost knows if Gongyi will come here to find any reason to fight directly. And with the continuous development of the alliance between the 2 villages, the concern of Terumi now does not need to exist at all. Gongyi's attitude has already said everything. At least in the current situation, Terumi does not have to worry about the fate of Sunagakure and Kumogakure villages in Kurigakure villages. Mizukage-sama, you have no idea right now. Ching saw Terumi's thoughts. He thought he was thinking about the next thing. Idea. Terumi looked at Shang-Ching. What's the idea? It's natural for us not to interfere in the affairs of Konoha village. We don't care about the disputes in the interior, we just need to complete the mission point and the development of Kurigakure village. Terumi seemed to have made up her mind and said solemnly to Ching. She didn't want to take advantage of the so-called Konoha emptiness or something to attack the rest of the village. Now Kurigakure village is still development stage, Terumi doesn't want to cause trouble. And she has another special feeling for Gongyi. So Terumi didn't have too many bad thoughts about the situation in Konoha village. Taking advantage of the danger of others and relying on his knowledge of Gongyi, he probably hoped that someone would do this. Because of this situation, it is estimated that he will extort a large amount of funds for the development of Konoha. Enter. Chapter 511. The largest village in the ninja world, third more. From the time when Kumogakure village declared war on Konoha village to today. In less than a week, the battle between the 2 villages was over. Through the inquiries of various spy agencies, they naturally know clearly. This supposedly fierce war was ended by Gongyi in just half a day. Basically, when everyone heard the news, most of them were the same as Terumi before. From surprise to disbelief, believe, and finally evolved into a kind of fear. They all gradually came to know that now that Konoha village is under the control of Gongyi, it has long been different from what it used to be. So far, the ninja world has mostly been afraid of Konoha village and Gongyi. Village and Takian village are all in danger. Although they know that they have no value in themselves, most of them are also afraid of getting burned. After all, 3-2 and 2-0. Konoha village is too strong right now, and no one knows what their goal is. After Gongyi took office as the 5th Hokage, the entire ninja continent did not stop. Not only various battles began to appear, but also the village of Kurigakure came to the inland to establish a mission point. A lot of big things, now all of them have nothing to do with Gongyi. On the other hand, even the top-ranked ninja Omura felt inexplicable panic. Sunagakure village that has experienced these things is fine, but the current Iwagakure village is a worry. Onoki, who was sitting in Tsuchikage's office, frowned. The happy look on his face before has long since ceased to exist. In front of him, at this moment, a man with an extremely strong figure was standing there. Father, Hokage shouldn't suspect us now, you don't have to worry so much, right? Seeing Onoki's gloomy face, as his son, Lois opened his mouth to guide. No, I'm more worried that the village of Konoha has become too powerful. Onoki shook his head, he said and looked at Lois. This time, even the Kumogakure village has been defeated so quickly, which is enough to show. The 5 generations of Hokage have grown to an immeasurable level. Father, I think they are still afraid of you in Konoha village now. Lois' face became more confident, and he smiled. After all, father, your master has been eliminated with strong blood, and Iwagakure's combat power is even more impressive. If Hokage of Konoha village is not stupid, he will definitely continue to develop himself, and not to provoke us. Well, Konoha village is probably digging its own grave now. It seemed to be right. Onoki's frowning brows loosened a lot, and he slowly analyzed. Now it seems that they have defeated Sunagakur village and Kumogakur village, but in fact they are in disguise with the 2 ninja villages. A smile appeared on Onoki's face unconsciously, and he continued, this is actually good. When the time is right, we can secretly unite these 2 ninja villages and compete against their Konoha village. About it, I master Jinten particle style, and Iwagakur village has developed very prosperously. So, if Gongyi came here now, it would be absolutely impossible to leave easily, and the final result could only be a lose-lose. If this is the combination of Sunagakur village and Kumogakur, maybe enough to counter them. And as the leader, naturally everything is still based on the core interests of Iwagakur village. A lot of simple thoughts. Onoki put his heart down. Because he feels that Konoha villages now, as Lois said, although they are very strong at the moment, it's not going to get any better if you keep dealing with war like this. As for the reason why Iwagakur has been safe and sound here, it seems that the 5 dynasties are still afraid of them. Now Onoki, he naturally doesn't know that Gongyi is not afraid of anything at all, he just doesn't have time to deal with him. Of course, now that the consciousness clone is operating here, when Gongyi frees up his hands, he and Iwagakur will naturally settle the matter before a short time. With the end of the war between the 2 villages, the ninja continent was rarely quiet. The Konoha village, which Gongyi controlled, became even more famous, which made many people really fearful. Whether it's those small ninja villages where they live in peace, or the big villages like Iwagakur, they don't say much. Although they have a lot of plans in their hearts, at present they naturally choose to avoid the edge. Inside Konoha village, with Gongyi's triumphant return this time, all civilians and ninjas were filled with joy. The village of Konoha is getting stronger and stronger, and it's certainly exciting for them to be a part of it. Especially those ninjas are very proud of themselves as the people of Konoha village. After all, after so many things, Konoha village has been completely transformed. The village where they are located is well deserved as the largest village in the ninja world. Morning, Lord Hokage. Lord Hokage, you are here. Hello Mr. Hokage. Gongyi walked into the ninja hospital in Konoha village, and the ninjas and civilians all around greeted respectfully. They could see clearly in their eyes, and they all showed a touch of unconcealed enthusiasm and awe. Obviously, the current Gongyi, he has left an indelible impression on everyone's heart. Morning. Well, come here and have a look. Hello. Looking around at the ninja commoners who greeted him one by one, Gongyi's face nodded with a smile and kept responding. He did not choose to be indifferent, on the contrary, he was very enthusiastic. As a Hokage, Gongyi has no air, just like a little brother next door bathing in the spring breeze. After all this is reflected in everyone's eyes, it is already a completely different feeling. In short, although Gongyi has become Hokage, the voice of the whole Konoha village is still getting louder and louder. It seems that no one can shake it. Even whoever wants to recommend a Hokage, then the ninjas and civilians of Konoha village will obviously not accept it at all. Go up the stairs and turn a few corners. Gongyi sighed response to Joe 1. 6 greetings from the surrounding people, and came to a quiet place with familiarity. As only one office all around. Seeing this very familiar location, Gongyi smiled faintly. This is where I used to work. Konoha Village Ninja Hospital, Dean's office. Dong dong dong. Walking forward, Gongyi raised his hand and knocked on the door politely. Although I am a Hokage, I still have to have the respect that I should have. Besides, the people inside are quite special. Enter. When I heard the knock on the door, a bold female voice came from the dean's office. Crunch. Push the door in. Gong Yi's face. Rong's smile continued, looking at the woman sitting on the large chair in front of him. Long time no see, Master Tsunade. Chapter 512. Ninja Tool. Medical Talisman 4th. Gong Yi. Tsunade was taken aback when he saw the people who came in. Handsome man wearing the Hokage imperial robe. He was the one he never wanted to face. Why are you free to come to me? Tsunade looked at Gong Yi unnaturally and continued to ask. I heard that Tsunade-sensei is back, so I came over to have a look. The corner of Gong Yi's mouth raised, looking at Tsunade in a green coat and long blonde hair in front of him, he smiled. Was still the way she remembered, as if the years had left no changes in her at all. Especially, the waves are still turbulent. You've become Hokage and have been very busy lately. Tsunade smiled awkwardly, looked at Gong Yi and said, so I didn't bother you. Oh, Tsunade-sensei will explain too. Seeing Tsunade's appearance, Gong Yi was quite surprised. As the years go by, people will still have some changes. Tsunade, who was very strong at the beginning, is still embarrassed today, which makes Gong Yi somewhat unexpected. 29 inches I explained what? Hearing Gong Yi joking, Tsunade slapped the table immediately. To the topic. Now it's more the opposite. You've become a Hokage, why don't you go about your business? I'm done. Will Hokage stay in the office forever? Seeing Tsunade avoiding his gaze, Gong Yi showed a bright smile. It seems that without knowing it, some images from the past come to mind. Of course not. Tsunade heard Gong Yi say this, she shrugged and replied. But I really can't think of it, that you became Hokage. Gong Yi with a completely different temperament, Tsunade couldn't help but say emotionally, this is the so-called growth, the tangible things will wither sooner or later, and the new existence will eventually disappear. Replace everything. I can't believe that you haven't seen Tsunade-sensei for a long time, and you can still say this. Gong Yi took a step, walked towards Tsunade and sat down directly. But seeing you today is one of them, and I have one more thing. Smiling, Gong Yi looked at Tsunade and said. Sure enough. With Tsunade's knowledge of Gong Yi, he's really not the kind of who can lick of people. Now that I am here, it seems that something really happened. After regaining his senses, Tsunade slowly and solemnly looked at him and replied, tell me, what's the matter? I am going to develop a new type of talisman, which I named Medical Talisman, and if it is successful later, it can be manufactured and promoted through the ninja hospital. Medical charm. Tsunade was confused when he heard Gong Yi finish. She knows detonators, and sigils of various attack types. As for this, medical amulet, Tsunade also understands what it is. In the entire ninja world continent, she didn't even know there was such a thing. That's right, it's a medical talisman. Seeing Tsunade's confused look, Gong Yi smiled and was not surprised. A medical talisman, it is something that does not exist in the ninja continent. For now, it's an experiment in Gong Yi's reverie. So Tsunade hasn't heard of it, it's actually quite normal. Gong Yi wants to make a medical charm. He was not on a whim. But through the last battle between Konoha village and Kumogakure village, he got the inspiration in it. Later, after a simple summation, he felt that if this medical charm was really successfully produced, it would definitely be the greatest benefit of the whole Konoha village ninja. Sounds good, what does it do? Looking at Gong Yi, Tsunade asked. Speaking of which, Tsunade naturally knew that Gong Yi wasn't teasing himself. Besides, listening to this medical talisman, she felt that it might be of great use. Very simple stuff. After my simple research, its principle is the same as the detonator. Hearing Tsunade's question, Gongyi smiled and explained from the beginning. It's just that this time, the blank spell is injected into the medical type of chakra ninjutsu in a special way. Although the effect may not be as good as our direct release of medical ninjutsu, this thing is a life-saving thing on the battlefield and in the execution of the mission. If it is really developed, its effect is not small. Not only can it effectively stop bleeding, but it can also speed up recovery from normal non-fatal injuries. And Gongyi explained the principles and functions of the healing talisman to Tsunade in detail. At present, he is very powerful in medical ninjutsu without questioning, but Tsunade is also highly accomplished in medical ninjutsu. So this time, Gongyi came here mainly to discuss this matter with her in detail. After all, this is for the benefit of Konoha village, and if it is successful, it will also reduce the loss of ninja power in his future plans. What a great idea! Here, Tsunade heard Gongyi's words, her eyes lit up and she couldn't help but praise. Using the principle of detonating charms to transform into medical charms that can save people, this idea is really great. I think it's a good idea to invest in research. Tsunade did not deny, this kind of thing seems to be of little use, but it is simply a life-saving artifact for ninjas who have been walking on the tip of a knife for a long time. Put it simply, the two sides are fighting. This is a situation of evenly matched, if all the ninjas on both sides are injured. But if Konoha ninjas have such a medical charm, they can quickly stop the bleeding and maximize the healing of the injury. This way, the advantage is very obvious. Although Tsunade has not been in Konoha village for many years, she knows it from her experience. The perennial ninjas perform tasks, and the mortality rate is very high, and there are many people who die outside due to a small problem. If this healing talisman can appear now, the casualty rate of Konoha village ninjas will definitely plummet. Gongyi's medical amulet this time is undoubtedly a major reform for Konoha village. I think so too. As soon as Tsunade finished speaking, Gongyi smiled and said, "At present, Tsunade-sensei, you know that although there are many ninjas in our Konoha village, there are not many who are good at medical ninjutsu. So, it is impossible to equip every ninja team with a medical ninja now. But it's different with the medical talisman. Invisibly, it can be regarded as a simple medical ninja for the ninja team. And it can still be equipped with unlimited equipment, and every ninja team can take care of it. In such a situation, not only can each ninja team save their lives, but their combat power can also be improved a lot." Gongyi said all the things that came to his mind. Tsunade is not an outsider, and the development of medical amulet in the future will naturally require her. The stronger the medical ninjutsu chakra injected by the medical charm, the better the effect. Well, so today Gongyi came here, still trying to get Tsunade's approval. The later stage, after I really develop it myself, I can throw it directly to Tsunade as a hand slinger. With the medical team she formed, the medical charms produced must be of very high quality. Chapter 513. The Perfect Container. I really didn't expect, Gongyi, you can think so much. Sitting in front of him, and Tsunade's eyes changed a lot when they looked at him. With the passage of time, she felt that Gongyi became more mature and rational. Kind of immature he used to be has disappeared, and now he is like this. Tsunade suddenly finds a little more charming. To say, Gongyi is now, for the 5th generation of Hokage, Tsunade was there before, I think he may need time to adapt. But when she came back here and heard about Gongyi's development and reform, she felt that she thought too much. Now a medical charm. Tsunade felt even more embarrassed when Gongyi talked to her like this. Because Gongyi is far better than she imagined. Hihi, Tsunade-sensei, since you think there is no problem, then I will immediately do research. What Tsunade was thinking. Naturally, Gongyi didn't know, he just smiled, stood up, looked at Tsunade and said, "When everything is successfully completed, the mass production and distribution in the later period will trouble you, Mr. Tsunade." "No problem." Tsunade nodded and agreed happily. This is a good thing, she has no reason to refuse. Furthermore, since he has returned to Konoha village, Gangyi is Hokage, so his right to speak is naturally impossible to refuse. Now Gangyi came here in person to tell him this. Tsunade also knows that he still respects himself very much. In other words, he still takes himself seriously. Thinking of this, Tsunade's mind started to become confused again and he didn't know where to fly. Ninja continent. In a dense jungle. Assholes, all damn bastards. An angry shout echoed around. I saw Orochimaru looking gloomy at the moment, standing in a laboratory that he secretly built. In order to prevent the pursuit of Konoha and the rest of Omura, he kept building laboratories all over the ninja continent. Basically every location, Orochimaru can stay briefly. After all, facing the pursuit of the ninja village, he did not choose to stay in a single position for a long time. Of course, now Orochimaru, he didn't pay attention to other things at all. Because of Orochimaru covered in cold sweat, he was severely tortured by the cursed mark of Sarutobi Hiruzen. Lord Orochimaru, or we'll go look for Lord Gangyi. Quote. Kabuto's expression was also bad, and he looked at Orochimaru and asked. Plan to find Tsunade could have announced a complete miscarriage. Especially after getting the news that Tsunade had returned to Konoha village, they had no chance at all. Konoha to find Tsunade now is like throwing yourself into a snare, no different from going to Gangyi. No, I can't go now. Rarely, Orochimaru was not angry, but pressed the pain and said, he just took office as Hokage, and he has already provoked so many troubles. I don't think he would mind killing me and letting everything happen. Going to find him now is a very risky thing to do. In the end, it was still very cautious and largely overruled Kabuto's opinion. Although I am in pain now, I can survive. In Gangyi's place, a little careless, it is very likely that he will be left there. Then Orochimaru-sama, what should we do? Kabuto was in trouble, and there was a hint of helplessness on his face. The entire ninja world, apart from Tsunade and Gangyi, I am afraid that no one can heal Orochimaru. I have my own arrangements. Orochimaru, panting heavily, sat down on the chair, as if he had an idea in mind. As long as I use the forbidden technique to make me abandon this body, maybe I can solve the problem in essence. As a scientific lunatic, the medical aspect can no longer be solved, and he can only shift his focus here. Could it be Orochimaru-sama, you want to? When Kabuto heard this, he also suddenly realized. Oh yes, but I need new containers. Orochimaru nodded, as if confirming Kabuto's suspicions. Tool is a body. Now Orochimaru's body has been sealed by Sarutobi Hiruzen using a ghoul. Then he needs to be replaced again, the last time his body, maybe he can heal without treatment. After all, Orochimaru has a new body container and can use someone else's body to continue his life. In disguise, this body that can move freely again belongs to him completely. But the containers currently in stock may not be of very good quality. Kabuto seemed hesitant and looked at Orochimaru worriedly. Orochimaru's physical requirements are naturally very high, so either he has special abilities or the existence of a special Kekkei Genkei. Because of the Konoha crash plan, these containers can also die a lot. I can't handle that much anymore. Orochimaru also seems to know that if it is normal, he naturally wants to get the best container to perform the forbidden technique. Now, with this appearance, he can no longer choose anything. But, at this time, Orochimaru looked at Kabuto and continued, I thought of a very perfect container, and he can be said to be so perfect that I am intoxicated. Uchiha Sasuke. Kabuto knows Orochimaru very well in general, right away. Blurted out. Hehe, Kabuto, as expected of you who have been following me. Orochimaru had a greedy smile on his face, and after thinking of Sasuke, he kept it in his mind. Powerful talent, the perfect Kekkei Genkei, the Sharingan obsessed with himself. Now Uchiha Itachi is too strong for him to get his hands on it. Uchiha Sasuke, who has not yet grown up, seems to be more suitable for him. But he's with Lord Gongyi now. Kabuto felt a bit of a headache, and now it seemed that Orochimaru didn't care about anything. After all, he has been reduced to what he is now, how could he think about other things? Don't care. Orochimaru said coldly. Now I have helped him become Hokage, but I have become like this. I think the Sasuke will not turn against me, and then I will try to make up for him. No, if I can really get Uchiha Sasuke, after he grows up, I will devour his soul and replace it. I can use this body to the best of my ability. Even if it is Gongyi, it is not necessarily who is stronger. Weak. Smiling, Orochimaru has already made up his mind. Now you will send someone to sneak into Konoha village secretly and capture Sasuke Uchiha for me. As for the future, I will naturally guide him slowly. Then Orochimaru, Sama, do you still need to prepare your current container? If all goes well, it's not a problem to use these inferior containers until then. Orochimaru said lightly. When this plan, he had already bit down on Kiba to prepare for implementation, which made his pain virtually relieved a lot. Chapter 514. Rewards for Progress. The leader of the palace. Oh, it's almost there. Basically, it's finally done. In the laboratory at home, Gongyi holds a talisman paper in his hand. It can be seen that this talisman is almost the same as the normal detonating talisman. The only difference is the black burst above. Word has become Yuhi, eye-catching, medicine. Word. Gongyi has been working on this for the past few days after discussing with Tsunade. In fact, for now Gongyi, it is not too difficult to make such a thing. Medical talisman, it seems, requires very complicated steps to develop it. In fact, Gongyi just used the principle of the detonator and successfully developed it. That sealed his own power and gave it to Kimimaro, the life-saving scroll. Just like what Tsunade said before. I just need to use a special method to completely inject my medical ninjutsu chakra into this blank spell, and finally seal it. At the same time, when you want to use it, you can activate it by using special spells and spells. Medical charm, made by myself. Its effect is very large. After all, 320 is injected with the chakra energy of his own medical ninjutsu. Although it is impossible to resurrect a dead person. But it can save a dying person. Not bad. Looking at the medical amulet in his hand, Gongyi smiled. Now wait until it can really be mass-produced, and then I will make a few special ones myself. Give Neji and Kimimaro they use. After all, these are their important combat power and loyal subordinates, so they naturally need to be protected. Of course, as time has passed for so long, there are probably not many who can threaten them in the entire ninja world. Master, Naruto is here to find you. At this time, Gong Ling's voice came from outside the door of the laboratory. Well, I'm going out right now. Hearing this, Gong Yi responded lightly. Putting away the medical talisman, Gong Yi straightened his clothes and walked out. Uncle Gong Yi. After seeing Gong Yi, Naruto sitting here immediately. Stand up. It seems that this experience has made you mature a lot. Seeing that Naruto seemed to be a lot more stable and his strength was stronger, Gong Yi smiled. A long time since Naruto's stature has also lost his youthful appearance. I have to say that Jiraiya really cultivated Naruto with a lot of heart, and did not have any selfishness because he was a member of his own faction. That's natural, how could Uncle Gong Yi be disappointed? Naruto smiled and made a signature. But speaking of this, Naruto let out a sigh of relief, but I didn't catch up with the decisive battle with Kumogakure village. No, this time I'll have to teach that group of damn bastards. Don't worry, the days ahead are still long. Gong Yi's smile continued, he patted Naruto's head and said. Indeed, the days ahead are still very long, and there are many things that need Naruto. This The protagonist in the original book, he estimates that it is impossible for him to relax. How about this trip? Did you learn anything? Sitting down again, Gong Yi looked at Naruto and asked. Ah, learned nothing. On the way, nothing too big happened. Naruto scratched his head, and replied to Gong Yi with some annoyance. Ah yes. At this time, Naruto seemed to have thought of something, looked at Gong Yi and continued. This time, on the way back with Lord Jiraiya and the others, we met the bastard who killed 3 generations of grandfathers. Oh Orochimaru. Gong Yi smiled coldly. He naturally knew that Gong Yi had asked Yamato to monitor them back then. However, after learning that Orochimaru had contacted Tsunade, Gong Yi pulled him back. That's right, it's that guy. Naruto nodded, his face filled with righteous indignation and said, but I taught him a lesson, and he ran away. Soon, I heard Naruto talk about this. Gong Yi also got a general understanding of Naruto's state. A simple experience has indeed helped him a lot in his mood and strength. Of course, now he can also be sure that it seems that Naruto did not learn Rasengan as his housekeeping ninjutsu, probably because of his own reasons. Jiraiya did not hand him Rasengan like the original. It's basically these things, Uncle Gong Yi. Very good. Now it seems that the original little Naruto is good enough. Naruto's voice fell, and Gong Yi nodded in appreciation to him. Immediately, no wait, Naruto spoke again, only to hear Gong Yi continue. As a reward for your progress this time, Uncle Gong Yi will teach you a ninjutsu. Ah, Uncle Gong Yi, are you going to give me ninjutsu? Hearing Gong Yi finish speaking, Naruto stood up excitedly. Gong Yi's strength is strong now, Naruto naturally knows it. This man who can suppress the ninja world, he is not only the 5th Hokage in charge of Konoha village, but also the strongest ninja who can kill the rest of the shadows, and is also a legend who can suppress the tail beast. Kimimaro, Hyuga Neji, who is well known in the ninja continent at this moment, is also his disciple. Although it is known that Sasuke and Gong Yi are very close, no one knows that he is the 3rd disciple of Gong Yi. Of course, Gong Yi didn't hype it up for some of the arrangements that followed. Well, it's because of these all kinds of things Naruto doesn't know, since Gong Yi wants to give him ninjutsu. Then it must be very powerful, and it must be very precious. Facts have proved that the ninjutsu that Gong Yi is going to give him is indeed very precious. Rasengan. Since no one has given it to Naruto, Gong Yi will naturally not be stingy. Naruto had always seen him growing up and gave him the ninjutsu he needed, and there was nothing at all. Besides, this time, Gong Yi also decided to give Naruto's improved Rasengan. At least the current Naruto, he should not use Shadow Clone to cooperate with him to release Rasengan like the original. Well, Rasengan, it is a chakra ball that makes chakra flow in different directions and compress it to form a rotating density. However, if he wants to maintain the energy of chakra in his hand, Naruto is not very easy at all, so he has to maintain it in 2 states, the main body and the clone. Gong Yi did a simple analysis and found out that Chapter 515, Rasengan's teaching. Outside the house. Here are Neji Kimimaro and them, the location of each training. Since Gong Yi said that he would teach Naruto Rasengan, it is not too late. There are a lot of things on my side now, so naturally I don't have much time to waste on Naruto. Besides this, Gong Yi also has selfishness. Soon, Shukaku, one tail inside Gaara's body at Sunagakure village, should be captured by Akatsuki's people. When the time comes, he plans to send Naruto and the others to rescue him, just like the original. Since Naruto is going to pass, it is natural that Gong Yi will strengthen him. Is also essential to teach him Rasengan. At the same time, using Naruto, Gong Yi can also complete the control of Sunagakure village. Gaara's side is also a crucial pawn. Everything Gong Yi is behind is actually in control. Teacher Gong Yi, what kind of ninjutsu is Rasengan? Now that he heard the ninjutsu that Gangyi was going to give him, Naruto asked curiously. It's simple. To put it bluntly, it is a spinning chakra ball that uses high pressure to condense in the palm of your hand. Gangyi did not surprise Naruto's confusion, but explained it carefully and briefly. Long time has passed, and the master of Gangyi's ninjutsu is also very much. Because of this, in fact, he has rarely used Rasengan. The older generation of ninjas may have the good fortune to see him use this ninjutsu. The new generation of ninjas may have never even heard the name of Rasengan. So Naruto doesn't know, he thinks it's normal. Oh, so it is. Naruto still had a completely puzzled look on his face, but he nodded as if he understood. Quote. Looking at Naruto's appearance, Gangyi shook his head and smiled bitterly. This strong character has not changed. Soon, suppressing his thoughts, Gangyi raised his palm. With a hum, a shocking chakra burst out. Immediately afterwards, I saw a blue chakra energy ball condensed on Gangyi's palm. Its size is not large, but the chakras that are constantly intertwined in it are terrifying. Although it looks like an ordinary chakra energy ball, it contains a very powerful sense of destruction. The buzzing sound continued, and it seemed that because of its appearance, the cold wind whistling around changed its direction. Around Gangyi, those flowers and trees seem to have been affected by it. Naruto naturally knows that this is just Gangyi, he usually uses the power to show off. What you see now, this is the final form of Rasengan. Gangyi narrowed his eyes and smiled, looking at Naruto who was already dumbfounded. He spoke, he was ready to show the next power, and immediately pressed his hand on a human-shaped puppet in front of him. Hula! In an instant, when the Rasengan in Gangyi's hand touched its body, the entire steel puppet collapsed inch by inch. They don't disintegrate from the inside out in the regular state of a circle, but as soon as Rasengan touches them, all of the ablation collapses in an instant. This is Gangyi's enhanced Rasengan, completely different from Jiraiya and Namikaze Minato in the original. Well, it's more powerful. Of course, it's not difficult to control because of its power. After Gangyi's improvement, it is now a lot more easy to learn. The Chidori of Master Sasuke has the same effect. Okay, so strong. Naruto was amazed when he saw this puppet made of special steel that was completely disintegrated by Gangyi. He originally thought that what Gangyi handed him should be some kind of regular advanced ninjutsu. Now when he saw Rasengan, he was a little excited. This puppet is used by many big families and schools. Its firmness, Naruto is very clear. Even if it is a normal high-level ninjutsu, it is difficult to completely defeat it. This special metal steel is very strong. But now, Naruto rubbed his eyes, and the special puppet in front of him was completely and silently disintegrated. It seems that it just never existed at all. Soon, when the puppet was destroyed, the Rasengan in Gangyi's hands gradually shrank and finally disappeared. He looked at Naruto, smiled and asked, "Hehe, how is it, do you want to learn?" "Want?" Naruto kept nodding his head like a chicken pecking at rice. He kept his composure and said with an excited face, "Uncle Gangyi has it, I'm going to learn it." "You can learn if you want. But you need to lay a solid foundation before you can use it successfully." Gangyi said. He took out a scroll in his arms. Hand seal with both hands. With a bang, countless balloons popped out. They were not big, they were full of water, and they were all over the place at the moment. This is a unique trick that was inspired by Jiraiya and the others in the original book. Kimimaro, Hyuga Neji, and Sasuke have all been trained in this way. Now that Naruto wants to learn Rasengan, this is even more essential. "Ha, Uncle Gangyi, what are you doing?" Naruto picked up the water polo on the ground and kept playing with it, puzzled. "It's very simple," Gangyi said, also picked up a water polo and placed it in his palm. A chakra force was released, and the balloon filled with water began to move irregularly. Originally it was a round shape, but at this moment it was constantly chaotic, as if the water inside was boiling and trying to rush out. Obviously Gong Yi's chakra is extremely scary, but he can easily control its strength. Even at this time, it's just an ordinary balloon. It didn't explode because it couldn't withstand Gong Yi's chakra. Hula hula. At this moment, as the water in the balloon moves more and more irregularly, it is automatically burst open with a bang. Okay, that's what you're going to do next. Seeing the water balloon in his hand explode, Gong Yi looked at Naruto and said, "Put this water balloon in your hand, release chakra steadily and continuously, and then make the water inside the balloon move irregularly until the balloon bursts." "Is that so, Uncle Gong Yi?" Naruto was stunned for a moment, feeling that this matter should be very easy now. "Yes, that's all, you can try it now." Gong Yi showed a playful look, looked at Naruto and said lightly, "This seems easy, but for those who are not good to chakra masters, it is a nightmare." Enter. Chapter 516. Gollum, Gollum, Gollum. There was a sound of continuous rolling of water. Ah, how could this be? Naruto looked at the unbroken water polo in his palm and said angrily. In a short period of time, Naruto just stood here in a daze, getting nothing at all. Mingming just now Gong Yi can easily use chakra to create water turbulence, and finally burst the water polo. But I didn't even burst a water polo. Obviously, this matter is not as simple as I imagined. His face turned black, and Naruto felt a little embarrassed in the atmosphere. Time goes by minute, half an hour later. Naruto is still standing here, the palm of his hand is still, firm, as always. Water polo. It seems that it will not be burst at all, no matter how. 3220, Naruto. Even biting on Kiba won't help. Oh, sure enough. Seeing Naruto's embarrassed look, Gong Yi's face. Wrong showed a faint smile. Gong, Uncle Gong Yi. Hearing Gong Yi speak, Naruto shrugged and looked desperately at the water polo in his palm. You really are the type that only rotates to the right. Taking the water polo from Naruto's palm, Gong Yi shook his head. Rotate right type. Naruto was stunned for a moment, and asked in confusion, Uncle Gong Yi, what does it mean to only rotate to the right? Because to condense chakra, you need to mix energy, so everyone will unconsciously rotate the energy in the body, and then condense the chakra. Staring at Naruto, Gong Yi opened his mouth to explain. The direction of the energy rotation at this time, whether it will turn left or right, varies from person to person. That is to say, in this practice, if the direction of rotation of the water polo is opposite to the direction of own rotation, the flow of chakra will cut off the repulsion, and the rotation cannot follow the trend. Well, the constant turbulent water flow can break the water polo. Gong Yi said. With a smile, Wrong said carefully, if you don't make some changes like this, you won't be able to survive even the first stage. Ah. Hearing these messy things, Naruto felt that his head had grown a lot bigger. Work hard. Gong Yi rubbed Naruto's head and seemed to joke a little. This kind of ninjutsu that doesn't require a hand seal is not very suitable for you now, at least you don't need to memorize those cumbersome style seals. Ha, Uncle Gong Yi, you are young. Gong Yi doesn't. It's okay to say that. After that, Naruto's face turned Yuhi ashamed. Obviously, I was still talking about how to be here just now, and I was almost scared back by this time. HMPH, I'm going to be a Hokage person in the future. Naruto seemed to regain his strength. He waved and said, Uncle Gong Yi, I will definitely learn to finish this ninjutsu in 3 days. Oh. Looking at Naruto who seemed to rekindle the fire of hope, Gong Yi said with a smile, really? Then let me break this water polo first. Ah, Uncle Gong Yi, you don't underestimate me. Look at me right now. Blast it. Naruto was a little mad, and he picked up a water polo underground again and started another attempt. While Gong Yi was still there, teaching Naruto, the picture was in harmony. The village of Kumogakure, where they are dead. Now in the conference room of Nuo University, the first seat belonging to the fourth generation Raikage is empty. The place belonging to Niyugito was also empty. The entire Kumogakure village, which was once prosperous, has begun to wither and decay. The death of the fourth generation of Raikage has left each of them deeply devastated. Especially with the constant rumors in the entire ninja world, the tasks entrusted by Kumogakure village are even decreasing day by day. Their credibility and ability began to be suspicious not only by the ninjas, but also by some commoners and nobles. Jinchuriki column force was caught, and his own shadow was killed. No matter which one, it was enough to make a ninja village breathless. Don't say it's them now, after so long, Sunagakure village still hasn't calmed down. Surviving, now enough to describe the village of Sunagakure. Although the overall strength of Kumogakure village is still stronger than that of many Sunagakure villages at this moment, it is not much different. For their meeting this time is to ask for Jinchuriki column power. Gongyi doesn't care what's going on here right now. So all were fully negotiated by Nara Shikaku. For the issue of compensation, Nara Shikaku was still merciful, and did not open his mouth. But, even so, it's the equivalent of biting down a chunk of flesh from Kumogakure village. Everyone, now that things have developed like this, do you have any better solutions? An old man sitting on the side, he asked lightly. Now the old man's face was gloomy, showing a worried look. He is a senior advisor in Kumogakure village, and he belongs to the same rank as Kaharu Udatane and Homura Mitokado in Konoha village. Now that there are no leaders in Kumogakure village, his voice is still somewhat useful. Of course, now they are not in the mood to re-elect the fifth generation Raikage, but are going to ask Jinchuriki column to come back first. They want to cut us right now, as they cut down on Sunagakure, which is very hard for me to accept. A Kumogakure executive replied with an equally bad expression. No, now we are at least a little stronger than the Sunagakure village before. Shaking his head, Mabuyi looked at the people in front of him and explained, the news that I got now, Konoha Hokage seems to have no concern about this matter at all. But at least it's better than Sunagakure village and the others. I think if you don't want to lose too much, or you can do the same as 1-6 I mean. Once again, there was a senior Kumogakure villager, and even though he felt a bit ashamed of what he said, he still opened his mouth and said it. Sunagakure village rejected a Hokage before, but not only did it lose more after that, but the intensified conditions were enough to make a village unable to develop for a few years. So forbearance for a while is the best way for us at the moment. At this time, Dodai also spoke up. He is now the courtier of the third generation of Raikage, and the reviewer of the past dynasties, and he has the same right to speak. Even the fourth generation of Raikage respected him very much, so everyone naturally listened to Dodai's words. Well, now with one after another high-level compromise, although there are still people who want to refuse, just bite Kiba and agree. Chapter 517. Itachi's Letter. Night Talk to Sasuke. Konoha Village, Administrative Building. How is the communication in Kumogakure Village? Seeing Nara Shikaku walking in, Gongyi, who was sitting in Hokage's office, asked. Week has passed without knowing it, and recently it has been. Gongyi, who taught Naruto, has freed up his hand. Today, after taking over the administration of the village again, he has refocused on the affairs of the Kumogakure village. I came here today just to report this matter to you. Nara Shikaku said, and handed the document in his hand to Gongyi. Here are the Kumogakure defeat clause and all matters of compensation to our village of Konoha. Now they agree. Opening the file, Gongyi looked at the contents and was satisfied. Well, now they are starting to prepare. Nara Shikaku nodded and continued. These are the things I remodeled after considering many aspects and integrating the ordinances of your Sunagakure village last time. Yes, that's good. Gongyi no. I have to say, Nara Shikaku is worthy of being a military advisor that has been used by Hokage in all dynasties. The compensation conditions for this defeat now seem to be normal, and are much lighter than those before him. Fact, it is also much heavier than usual, and Kumogakure village will be sad for at least these years. Of course, Gangyi is not too greedy, sometimes he suppresses too hard, and there will always be some counterproductive reactions. Well, especially in the current situation, it was the most correct decision to let Nara Shikaku do this. The village of Kumogakure happily agreed, and the two-tailed people Jinchuriki column also quickly returned them so that Akatsuki could capture them. I don't have to worry about getting the compensation in this way, and Gangyi is indeed very satisfied with everything planned as the master planned. Senses, Gangyi merged the documents and handed them back to Nara Shikaku. Teacher Shikaku, you are solely responsible for this matter, and there is no problem with me. Don't worry, Lord Hokage. Seeing Gangyi trusting him so much, Nara Shikaku nodded solemnly. There are a lot of obscure things involved here. Since Gangyi is confident and bold, Nara Shikaku knows that he needs to do things more beautifully. Black night replaced day. Night gradually fell, the noisy streets became quiet, and the moonlight was like a veil, slowly shrouding the entire Konoha village. Teacher Gangyi, you are looking for me. The leader of the palace, in a separate room. Sasuke opened the door and walked in, looking at Gangyi and asking. How has your practice been recently? Seeing Sasuke come in, Gangyi smiled and looked at him. Calling Sasuke to come here today, he naturally has the next plan. Basically, Mr. Gangyi, I have learned everything you explained. But Kakashi-sama has nothing to do with it. Sasuke sat down, his indifferent expression disappeared. In Gangyi, Sasuke always looks like a teenager. It seems that only Gangyi can make Sasuke feel this last bit of affection. After he became Gangyi's disciple, he really cared a lot. Well, this made Sasuke's sense of Gangyi gradually rise to another level. Didn't take long, as Sasuke and Naruto had begun to grow, Gangyi also guided them both into his own system. Well, Naruto has come back with Jiraiya now. The effect of the experience is good. Gangyi nodded and said lightly. That guy, has he improved a lot now? As a base friend Sasuke, who is cold on the outside and hot on the inside, he is still very concerned when he hears about Naruto. However, after hearing that he has grown up, the strong Sasuke naturally feels a little crisis, and his heart is also a lot of anxiety. He naturally didn't want Naruto to surpass himself in the past. Well, that's it. Gangyi didn't deny it, but replied with a smile. Teacher Gangyi, should I go out and practice now? Sasuke looked at Gangyi expectantly. After all, I have learned so much from the teacher. If I can go out and practice now, I think I will improve even more. Do you want to go out now? Gangyi's smile continued, as if he had long thought that Sasuke would say this. That's right, Gangyi said this on purpose just now. After he saw that Sasuke had this idea, he naturally also facilitated the next arrangement. Moreover, Sasuke really needs to go out and hone it now. Senses, Gangyi looked at Sasuke. He didn't answer immediately, but after a long silence, he nodded. That's true, Sasuke, you should go out to practice. I think so too, Teacher Gangyi. Sasuke couldn't help but get excited when he saw Gangyi's promise. Now that Naruto has progressed, he naturally doesn't want to stand still. In fact, it was because he caught Sasuke's strong character, so Gangyi could guide him better. Because the master has Sasuke's thoughts, Gangyi is very relaxed and can hand over the next arrangement to Sasuke. It's okay to practice, but before that, Gangyi said, he paused and looked at Sasuke, I want you to see a few things. Look at a few things. Sasuke was a little puzzled, he didn't know what Gangyi wanted him to see. That's right. Gangyi took out what he had prepared a long time ago. Letter, a scroll-style item. There are also 320 It seems a bit rough, shuriken. These things were originally prepared by Gongyi to Uchiha Itachi. One of the letters is the truth about the extermination of the Uchiha family. Basically, the contents of cleaning Konoha village and putting the blame on Akatsuki. There are also some Uchiha Itachi specifically asking Sasuke to remember himself and so on. Kindness or something. These are actually useless today. After all, Sasuke has been completely mastered by himself. Well, that's the icing on the cake. As for that scroll, it was given to Sasuke by Uchiha Itachi alone, and Gongyi didn't check it. What should be seen and what should not be seen, Gongyi understands clearly. The last rough shuriken is Uchiha Itachi's token. It is estimated that it is also the witness of these two brothers, some kind of moment. Sasuke's face was fine when he saw the letters and scrolls. But seeing this rough shuriken, Sasuke's face changed greatly. He stared at him and said in disbelief, "Mr. Gongyi, how could this thing be here with you? This bland thing that should not even be noticed," but now Sasuke is holding it in his hand and watching it carefully. 518. S-Class Secret Mission, 5th Update. The rough shuriken caught Sasuke's eyes. The blades that should have been sharp above were all gaps, and rust appeared in some places. Sasuke turned it over at this time, and there was a special mark engraved on it. No mistake. When Sasuke saw this special mark, he blurted out, "This is really Itachi." That's right. Gongyi nodded and responded to Sasuke. Since it was the keepsake left by Uchiha Itachi, naturally Sasuke can easily distinguish it. "Mr. Gongyi, why are you?" Sasuke's face was a little surprised at the moment, and his mind was full of confusion. "You look at this letter first, and then I will answer you one by one." Gongyi handed the letter on the table to Sasuke. Holding it in his hand, there were some familiar handwriting on the letter, which gave Sasuke a lot of memories. Although he hated Uchiha Itachi so much, in his heart he still had a little obsession with his own brother. "Open the envelope and take out the letter inside." Sasuke started to watch. Gongyi has read the content of the letter, and naturally there will be no problem. As for the annihilation of the Uchiha clan, it's okay to let Sasuke know about it now. And the next arrangement must let Sasuke understand the truth. Gongyi can rest assured. So it's getting late, and now Sasuke should understand what Uchiha Itachi has taken on. Itachi, he actually. A long time, when Sasuke put down the letter, he was silent. It's really hard to accept. Now the content on the letter paper has given Uchiha Sasuke a great impact. From the destruction of the Uchiha clan to the infamy on Itachi's back. All of this was caused by Akatsuki. Under the arrangement of Gongyi and Itachi, Sasuke already hated Akatsuki to the core. This matter, in fact, should have been told to you later. Looking at Uchiha Sasuke, Gongyi said lightly, "After all, Itachi, he is still very worried about your impulsiveness and the trouble of going to Akatsuki. But now that you want to leave Konoha, go and experience yourself. Then my next arrangement will be related to all these things. That's why I made an assertion, and decided to tell you." Gongyi seems to have made up his mind, he continued. "Teacher Gongyi, is Akatsuki really that powerful?" At this moment, Sasuke became suspicious after reading this letter. And, as the amount of information was too large, it gave Sasuke a lot of impact. Akatsuki was really strong before this. Gongyi nodded, without denying. They even invaded Konoha village once, and even the calamity of the Night of Kyubi, 9 Tails, was created by them. But although I have the ability to eliminate them now, everyone is very cautious and difficult to catch. Even if Itachi acts as a spy, it's still not very effective. Gongyi was half-truth and said it casually. Tell Sasuke now, it's actually okay. Anyway, after that, it will be said sooner or later. Damn Akatsuki. Biting Kiba, Sasuke's gloomy face was complicated. There is anger, there is guilt, there is shock, and there is a shred of relief. After all, it is indeed a very fortunate thing to know that my beloved brother is not the real murderer. Especially since he already knew the real murderer, so all he had to do was work on it and put an end to Akatsuki. Thinking of this, Sasuke immediately looking at Gongyi, he said, Mr. Gongyi, what's your next plan? Akatsuki can't be caught, but I'll go look for them. These damn bastards, I will find them all one by one, and then kill them. Sasuke's face is still dominated by hatred, but the goal has changed. You don't need to worry too much about Akatsuki, I will find a way to get rid of them. And this time my arrangement for you is actually very simple. Gongyi said, his face was a little serious. I'm going to arrange for you to go undercover next to Orochimaru, and just follow him outside so that you can hone yourself well. Go undercover with Orochimaru. Sasuke's face was stunned for a moment, and the whole person was a little surprised. He wasn't afraid, just didn't expect Gongyi to have such an arrangement for himself. Yes, this can be said to be an experience, or it can be said to be the first-level secret mission I gave you. Gongyi nodded and responded to Sasuke. Teacher Gongyi, why me? Sasuke didn't expect that Gongyi would think so highly of himself. Orochimaru, as the top missing nin in Konoha village, Sasuke naturally knew something, and even the two had fought against each other at the beginning. Well, in fact, the situation is a bit special, so we have to start from the beginning. Gongyi was not surprised that Sasuke would ask. On the contrary, it would be strange if he agreed with a fever. According to the information I got, Orochimaru has successfully developed a forbidden technique called reincarnation. Not reborn. Yes, not reincarnated. Gongyi nodded in response to Sasuke. When he was studying this forbidden technique, he was still in the village of Konoha, but because a lot of corpses and human bodies were needed to study this technique, Orochimaru was finally exposed and was finally kicked out by the 3 generations of Hokage village. But after that, he succeeded in the end. Not reincarnated, to put it bluntly, its function is to transfer one's own spiritual soul into someone else's body, and then replace it with the forbidden technique. And Sasuke, you are one of the last survivors of the Uchiha clan, and you have a special Kekkei Genkai, so the temptation to Orochimaru is very great. Once Itachi sent me a message back, and Orochimaru tried to get his hands on him, but unfortunately failed. And the last Chunin exam, his arrival, let me know. Orochimaru's goal has become you. He wants to use you as a container and replace you with the forbidden technique of immortality. Gongyi looked at Sasuke and slowly continued, well, because of this, you are the only one in the entire Konoha village who can touch him and have a chance to kill him. So it is. And, Sasuke already understood what Gongyi meant. It turns out that everything is because of the Orochimaru forbidden technique, so it seems that only you can get in touch with him. Orochimaru is cunning by nature, and as a missing nin, he will not be easily caught. And if you want to contact him on your own side, it is indeed easier to start. And following a guy like Orochimaru, at the same time, it is more likely to temper yourself. To read the underlined version of the novel, please download the latest chapter of Fei Lu Shaokan. Or block the collection of IP. Chapter 519. Danger and Benefit. But Sasuke, if you really come into contact with Orochimaru later. Seeing that Sasuke was a little excited, Gongyi opened his mouth and reminded him, you only have 3 years. 3 years. Hearing this, Sasuke looked at Gongyi. Rong looked puzzled. Of espionage behavior sneaking into others is normally impossible to estimate with time. In a few weeks or months, it can be done, and in a few years or even decades, it is possible. Now, especially if he is with a guy of Orochimaru's level, the difficulty of the mission will be much higher and visibly. Of course, the strong Sasuke, he is very happy to perform this task for Gongyi. Orochimaru is dangerous, yes, but danger is often accompanied by extremely high benefits. Sasuke is such a guy, he is not afraid of danger, as long as he can become stronger, he will do whatever he can. Even now with Orochimaru, Sasuke is still there. Especially at present, this is the first task that Gongyi personally gave him. So Sasuke, naturally, wants to make it perfect. Yes, that is 3 years. Gongyi nodded and continued. Because of the forbidden technique of not reincarnating, it seems to be very perfect, and even if it is used, it can already make people immortal, but... Speaking, Gongyi paused. He seemed to know this forbidden technique very well. Its side effects and limitations are also very large. First and foremost, it has a time limit. The current Orochimaru has been used by 3 generations of ghouls to seal his hands. I think he will definitely use this forbidden technique to give it a try when no one can heal him. So, now this forbidden technique, according to my inference, he can't use it again in 3 years. Was a faint smile on his face. Gongyi didn't know it yet, and Orochimaru didn't come to find himself at this moment. He may have decided to use the characteristics of immortality to maintain his body. Now that he sees himself in the limelight, Orochimaru doesn't dare to throw himself into the trap. But he was right, even though Gongyi could completely control Orochimaru's movements. But it cannot be denied that Orochimaru is still an unknown threat to Gongyi now. So if he really came, then Gongyi might really make him disappear here forever. Returning to his senses, Gongyi did not stop, but continued to explain and analyze. So, I think he will come to contact you during the recent period. And in the past 3 years, with Orochimaru's character, he should try his best to cultivate you until the time limit of immortality is lifted. Well, speaking of this is actually why I told you, Itachi. Gongyi seemed to have thought of this for a long time, and smiled slowly, because Orochimaru wants to use the immortal reincarnation to replace you. Then it will definitely use the matter of Itachi to constantly lure you, and it may not be bad to know it as soon as possible. Gongyi is naturally worried if he follows the original book. But since Sasuke is his own disciple now, he still chose to let Sasuke have some mental preparations. If the Orochimaru family used some means to distort things, it would be really difficult for them to do it afterwards. In order to prevent deviations in the follow-up plan, Gongyi decided to make everything perfect. Spoiler, for Sasuke. But also for yourself. Now what I said, do you understand? Seeing that Sasuke was already brooding, Gongyi asked him. So it is. Hearing that Sasuke came back to his senses, he couldn't help but nodded. I already understand, Teacher Gongyi. Sasuke is careful and thoughtful, and he has an ability comparable to Itachi. So just after Gongyi said half of what he said, he already understood. For 3 years, you are safe. So, you can fully enjoy the benefits of Orochimaru. At the same time, there is also a chance to kill him. But 3 years later, when the time limit on immortality is lifted, he will definitely be in danger. As for Itachi, Sasuke finally understands Gongyi. It turns out that this is all for his own good. After all, if Orochimaru really keeps using killing Itachi to guide himself, he might fall. Just understand. Seeing that what has been said is almost the same, and it is almost explained. Gongyi naturally didn't talk about it anymore. At this moment, he stood up and walked to Sasuke's side. If you want to bring Itachi back, then be as strong as possible by Orochimaru's side. As long as you get stronger and stronger, Orochimaru will naturally fail to replace him. Equally, you have to remember to use your Sharingan well, its true abilities that Orochimaru would never have thought of. The smile on his face did not diminish. Gongyi looked at Sasuke very solemnly. Bring the weasel back. Sasuke's whole person was shocked. Gongyi's words, invisibly set a big goal for Sasuke again. Yes, while killing Akatsuki to avenge his relatives, he must also bring back his beloved brother. Well, don't worry, if he can come back, I will announce to everyone in the name of Hokage that Itachi is responsible for his responsibility. Everything. Teacher Gongyi, I will definitely bring him back. Sasuke's face couldn't help but be excited again, and the whole person immediately stand up. Now Gong Yi's promise has undoubtedly given him another reassurance. If they succeed, then if the two brothers work together in the future, then rebuilding the Uchiha family will definitely not be difficult. Especially now that Hokage is his own teacher, he is very caring for himself, so the construction of the Uchiha clan, etc. he will definitely help him. Thinking of all the things here, Sasuke even has some urge to go out to find Orochimaru, self-defeating. I'm naturally very happy to see that you have another goal. Patting Sasuke on the shoulder, Gong Yi smiled faintly, but it's naturally impossible to be too anxious about this matter. If the information is correct, Orochimaru may be about to attack soon, and everything is up to you. And you don't have to worry about the rest. When you come back, all the promises of the teacher will naturally be fulfilled one by one. Too many words must be lost, and it is almost said now. Gong Yi wasn't going to go any further. Gong Yi is very satisfied with Sasuke's state now. The truth about Itachi's story is revealed, and Sasuke is better able to complete his plan. Chapter 520, Forgotten Dust. Oh right. Wait, when Sasuke spoke again, Gong Yi seemed to remember something. He turned his head and stared at the scroll on the table. This thing, don't you open it and take a look. Teacher Gong Yi, save it for me. Sasuke shook his head, and he said, this is just waiting for me to kill Orochimaru and finish everything successfully. Come back to Konoha village to see. It seems that he has given himself another motivation, and it seems that Sasuke still hasn't read this scroll in order to have such a thought. Good. Gong Yi already understood what Sasuke meant. He nodded and put the scroll back together. Gong Yi is actually very curious about what is in it now. Of course, he didn't choose to check it out. Since Sasuke said to come back and open it again, Gong Yi didn't say much. Time is fast. After Sasuke and Gong Yi briefly talked for a while, he simply pointed Sasuke, and then Sasuke went back. Back to the laboratory. Rasengan from Naruto is about to succeed in his studies, and his strength has increased a lot. And Sasuke here, has also been arranged. So he has nothing to worry about at all. The only thing to do is to wait for the next episode to start. Taking advantage of the rare spare time, Gong Yi made the medical amulet that had not been completely completed before. Continue to start perfecting. The dark blue heavy sky is slowly shedding away from behind. The bright blue morning sun has just dyed the mountains and grasslands in the far east. Konoha village, a new day begins. The quiet streets began to be noisy, and everything became alive again. Ninja Hospital. The atmosphere here is very serious at the moment, and there is no relaxed and comfortable outside. Before dawn, a succession of ninjas were sent in. During the mission, they were obviously all injured. Although it wasn't fatal, the blood of Yuhi the orangutan continued to flow from their eye-catching wounds. If it goes on like this, even if it doesn't hurt the vital point, they may die soon. The whole ninja world is like this, the technology tree is seriously distorted. Ordinary ninjas are injured outside, and if they reach a certain limit, if there is no medical ninja, they may have to wait to die. Because the current medical methods are too perfect. This is also why some ninjas of big families, and often important ninjas, are always assigned as standard medical ninjas when performing tasks. Now in the ninja world in the peaceful era, the mortality rate of performing tasks is still very high. It seems that these few were lucky enough to be sent in. If they were injured like this, they were still in a forgotten corner somewhere, and their final end might just turn into dust. Quick, this wounded person also needs medical treatment as soon as possible. A medical ninja immediately faced the few people in front of him. Said. Because the arrival of this batch of ninjas was a bit sudden, the number of medical ninjas on duty was not very large. In an orderly manner even though there is no chaos, but they are still a little busy. This wounded man, I can come. At this time, one of the medical ninjas, He had just finished working on the last wounded man, and was about to start, when a sudden voice interrupted him. "Fire, Lord Hokage." At such a moment, seeing that he was interrupted, the medical ninja just looked a little displeased. But he didn't expect that the person standing in front of him was Gong Yi wearing the Hokage royal robe. The rest of the medical ninjas also lost their minds for half a second after noticing Gong Yi's approach. No one thought that it was an ordinary ninja treatment. How could Lord Hokage come in person? Even the ninjas who were still there just now, humming, suddenly stopped making a sound. Some of them are naturally conscious. Now Gong Yi seems to have a calming and pain-relieving effect. These injured ninjas bit Kiba, but they didn't make a sound. Seems that Gong Yi is here, making them invisible, a lot of strength. "Lord Hokage, this is just a normal wound, I can heal it." "Senses," the medical ninja said solemnly. "Joke, now that such an injury has to be shot by Hokage himself, he is about to die of shame. This is just a very common injury. If he is kicked out, he will be the laughingstock of the hospital." At the same time, what kind of identity Gong Yi is at the moment, can really let him take action to heal. I am afraid that the identity is also scary. "Hee, of course I know you can heal." Gong Yi smiled and took out a medical talisman in his arms. "But now there are many injured ninjas, you can continue to heal the next one." Saying that, Gong Yi put the medical talisman directly on the ninja's injured leg. "This is..." Seeing this, the medical ninja was stunned. "I saw the one that said, Doctor." The talisman of the character was pasted by Gong Yi behind the ninja's wound. It actually released a green light automatically. As soon as that gentle energy appeared, it began to gradually heal the wounds of this ninja. The blood that had just flowed on it had been stopped, and although the wound was not instantly intact, it was slowly healing. Warm current continued to flow through the whole body, and the ninja who had endured the pain forcibly relaxed a lot from the frown. "Hee, the effect looks good." Gong Yi smiled and thought to himself. After this period of research, it took another night to perfect yesterday. This medical amulet, which is basically complete. Well, Gong Yi naturally tried it before, but he didn't really make fun of the injuries. If it affects your reputation, it will not be worth the loss. In the case of really making sure everything is safe, Gong Yi got the ninja hospital to use. "Okay, now that you are seriously injured, continue to seek medical treatment. Some are slightly injured, and I can take care of them." Gong Yi saw that there was no problem with the medical talisman, so he took out a lot of them separately. When a piece of medical talisman was pasted on the wounds of the ninjas, they all felt a lot more comfortable. And this is very efficient, and the rest of the seriously injured ninjas naturally gained precious life-saving time. In just a short while, due to the existence of the medical talisman, Konoha village reduced some invisible losses. A ninja, he is also a ninja, and the training required also pays money and human resources. Gong Yi is now Hokage. He naturally takes everyone into consideration.